Hey, if we ever get Michael Burry as a guest or even just as a listener, we know we've made it, right?
Oh man, yeah, that would be. I would massively like fanboy over that. Yeah,
Yeah.
even if all he does is come on here and call me an idiot, I'll take it. That's why I'm not a trader. I am. In reality, I'm got. I know Bitcoin's going to infinity. I don't know when, but it's going there.
Yeah.
I don't trade. I hodl. I'm here for the long term. I'm here for
It's
generational
easier.
wealth.
Yeah, it's easier. Never trade, just hodl, and in my case, don't look. And Dr. Evil 10% has been jacking off to stroking his pussy.
So yeah, 10x from here
Yeah,
in pounds. Cheeky 10, man. But Bitcoin loves the winter. From October to December, we 10x before. We do it again.
yeah. So here we are, pod number 28, the world's most bullish podcast, Mr. All In, back from the Nether regions. Myself, Sir Never Look. She's here, but she's never here, Mrs. No Show, and Dr. Evil 10%. Unfortunately, not with us, but not to worry, still around, still stroking that pussy somewhere.
What an intro.
There you go.
Oh man, I've missed it. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, man. Good to have you back. A lot of spin going on. We hit an all-time high while you've been away. You know, we shouted it out, didn't we? Got to pump it up, and it came through.
It worked, yeah. A week before, you got to pump it up. We got close, didn't we, on that one? Literally, I've been away for 2 weeks. It's just been both pump it up weeks.
Yeah.
And I think we're about probably 15K or something below all-time high. And first week, did the first 7. Second week, we didn't just do 7, we did like 10. And smashing through all-time high. And and the great thing is, I think we went past all-time high and we haven't gone plummeting all the way back down. Normally there's a big retest and a little retest, but in Bitcoin terms, 10% pullback. That's just a normal day, and we're just hovering around like 60K in dollars is boring, and I love these 60K boring Bitcoin kind of weeks because it's just insane. Like you go back a year, we were at 6K, and now we're bored at 60. It's the life.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Obviously, you may have seen with the Tesla shares. Over the course of the year or so, they've 5x, but Bitcoin's 10x in the same period. Heard as well about Hertz rental car have bought over 100,000 vehicles over 14 months. So obviously that's pumped their price up, and given where they were a couple of months ago as well, it's great for them to pivot and be back as well.
Yeah, it's a huge order of cars, that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Global order.
But it's kind of bizarre. I did see a stat on it where the share price in Tesla, it went up 12%. So it went over the $1 trillion mark. And I think their share price overall, I think it went from about $850 a share to $1,000. So it's like 150 plus. I think it might even gone higher. So I saw like 200 to 250 worth of share price that had increased. It meant as a company, it had increased in value by like 250 billion. On the news that Hertz were buying like 4 billion worth of cars. So it just, and the commentary basically, the commentary on Tesla is always negative. And obviously I was a long time Tesla shareholder until literally this year where I dumped it and bought Bitcoin instead because of Elon messing about with fucking Doge. So fuck that. But yeah, so it was negative, but it was bizarre. And I think it was, again, just a bit of a commentary on where we are, that a company signs a $4 billion order and the share price goes up in value by 250 billion. Doesn't make sense. Just everyone's just so enthusiastic. Like, you just need a snippet of good news and share prices just explode. Like a $1 trillion company shouldn't be able to go up by 12% in a year, in a day.
In a day.
It's just totally insane. Like they've gone up 5x in a year, and they were already one of the, if you go back 10 years, they would have been the largest company in the world at about 100 billion. That is insane. They've gone from like 100 to 200 billion to the trillion in the space of a year, and their revenue to a certain extent is still minute. Like, it's all potential. And like, Jesus Christ, I was all for it. I was all for the potential of Tesla being the car and the energy company of the globe. But bloody hell, like, we're now comparing them to Apple, who they like, Apple already have it, right? They already have won. They already have like every computer and kind of mobile device, the aspirational kind of brand is Apple in these key categories where everyone has these things, and they all cost thousands of dollars each, plus they're on subscription. So there's constant kind of revenue.
Plus, they've got
in.
cash and reserves as well to, you know, like that Scrooge McDuck type style cash as well. You can float through it.
Exactly. So so any competition that comes anywhere near them, they just buy it, copy it, buy it. You know, I think they've got literally hundreds of millions just sat on their balance sheet of hard cold cash. So like for that being, you know, so the Apple and Amazon being $1 trillion company, it kind of makes sense because they've achieved it, right? They are there. They are number one. Tesla's still, to a certain extent, a hotshot company. They're being valued alongside these behemoths. And at this point, I've just gone, what is going on? Like, literally, I'm a Tesla bull, but fuck me, this is insane now. When's this train going to stop?
Do you know what? I've just Googled it. So they're saying that Apple Inc. has nearly 200 billion in cash and marketable securities as of the 22nd of May, 2021.
Insane, isn't it?
Insane. And for that, therefore, you know, if they decided, or when they decide to put a small trinket of that into Bitcoin, whoosh, up it goes.
Yeah, well, it's good because when we went past all-time high, Bitcoin passed the 1 trillion market cap as well. Yeah, it's weird how that trillion number was coming around more and more. So so Bitcoin is worth, you know, roughly the same as Tesla.
I'd like to think that the 4Bs podcast had something to do with it. We were trending downwards for a long time when we started, but like our viewership, we are on the increase and up.
We literally started this podcast, I think, on the $64,000 day, like back in March, and we had 6 months of down. It was like, oh no, we might need to stop this podcast and restart it when we've kind of like recovered. Like, this is just a bad omen for Bitcoin here. But
absolutely,
now we've hit 66K 6 months in, so we're all good. The omen is gone, the spell's been broken. Now it's up only from here. Now
we should also shout out our super fan as well. The first for merch. Is it how do we pronounce it, Stefan?
It's just Stephen. Yeah,
it's just Stephen.
Yeah, it's just spelled slightly different. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Stephen, we got you.
We got it wrong like 7 podcasts on the chart, I think. But,
yeah. But keep on sharing, keep on liking, keep on commenting, keep on subscribing. This is pod number 28. So without further ado, let's kick off. What's on the agenda that you want to start with?
Yeah, well, you want to start off with your breaking news then that you added just before we jumped on.
Yeah. So I've had no time to research into it, but essentially, MasterCard are going to allow companies to be able to convert, Bitcoin and people's accounts a lot easier into crypto. If I understand right.
Yeah, it's massive news. Yeah, because obviously Mastercard and Visa run the payments network, right? If you're not one of those two, then who kind of cares? And
for now,
yeah. And I think, you know what, this might actually be in reaction to Jack Mallers and his Strike company, because obviously, as we've seen, where you've got fiat and Bitcoin now rolled out in El Salvador pretty much seamlessly. How do Mastercard and Visa remain relevant in the new world? And I think one of the ways to do it, and this is great, right? And this is a little bit like what Elon did with Tesla, where he went, I'm just going to build an electric car and prove that it works. What that did was force all the other car companies to go, oh, we all said it was impossible. Oh shit, he's selling loads of it. So they had to just adapt, and now every car company has an electric car kind of range. This could be happening in Bitcoin right now, where they were all saying, crypto's or Bitcoin. Crypto is freaking in my mind because it says crypto right on the screen here. But
Yeah.
they're gonna include crypto. But look, we know the only one that really matters is Bitcoin. And I think because
I'm not
Jack
trying to
Mallers,
send you any cum rockets, I'm afraid.
I know it's one of those things, isn't it? I would quite like to receive some just for the memes, but it's so I think what Jack has almost done, he's kind of, I think, maybe done what Elon did, where he just paved the way. And I think if I was sat in the strategy team in MasterCard and Visa going, what are our threats? I think they would have Bitcoin right up there. They'd have a picture of Jack Mallers on there and his Strike company going, if we fast forward 5 years, he could completely eat our lunch and it would be too late. So we got to react. So what it looks like what they're doing, and they're using what they have as their advantage, which is they are already integrated into literally millions of businesses all around the world. All can accept MasterCard, but at the moment they can just accept different forms of fiat. Just tap your card on various machines and it all goes through. They seem to be, according to this article, they're going to roll out the ability to just accept Bitcoin or other coins just at the same tap of a card. So the thing is, they have a huge advantage on integration because all the platforms are already out there. Correct. All that needs to change is the cards just need to have a little category in them that go, oh, here's your Bitcoin balance as well. And when you tap your card, you can just choose like, well, which kind of account are you paying? What's your default account you want to pay out of? Is it the pound one? Is it your savings one? Is it the Bitcoin one? And there you go. So this could be huge news for Bitcoin because suddenly everyone that's saying that Bitcoin is only a store of value and isn't a currency, you can't spend Bitcoin anywhere. Once this is finished, you'll be able to spend Bitcoin everywhere where MasterCard is accepted.
Absolutely.
There you go. Boom, done. Didn't even have to compete with them. Didn't have to bring them down. They couldn't beat us, so they joined us. MasterCard are Bitcoiners.
That's the one. And it's interesting, actually, because on the article, which again will has always be in the show notes, the partnering company backed are there, and MasterCard also bought another company called CipherTrace not so long ago as well. Don't know if you saw that, but it was in September, and they essentially scoured the dark web and then also scoured the blockchain for illicit activity on crypto wallets. So they're definitely trying to, do a little bit of flex into crypto and going gung-ho. And like you say, it's not just a passing fad. They're all over it.
Yeah. Well, Bakkt were one of the first companies to apply for an ETF in Bitcoin, and they were rumored to be one of the first. They still haven't got that yet, but it's great news that they've kind of gone quiet a little bit. I was following their CEO on Twitter for quite a while and haven't really seen or heard much of him. And then bang, they've obviously been working on this, and they probably couldn't talk about it. And then now it's all just been announced at Money 2020. And fair play. And weirdly, I think some journalists have managed to get hold of this article, released it on Sunday, I think, and they wanted to release it on the Monday at Money 2020. Kind of they stole their announcement a little bit from them, and CNBC went and shoved it on their website the day before. So stole their thunder a little bit, but it's fantastic news. This is what we're waiting for, right? This is slowly but surely all that FUD about Bitcoin, all the things that people want to say that Bitcoin can't do. It's like it can do all these things. It's a matter of time. And here's another huge hurdle just being knocked down in one fell swoop. Because how long is it going to be now until we get the Visa equivalent of this?
Exactly what I was just about to say. Visa are going to be doing something in the background, and therefore it just opens it up to even more. And, I think I've always heard the number bandied about of like 1 billion people using the network in terms of like having a wallet. And then that's where we get obviously exponential growth and price explodes. But through this, certainly I'd say half the world's population, without a shadow of a doubt, with Visa and MasterCard. Obviously, there's a lot of individuals that are unbanked and therefore don't have it, but that's where Lightning comes into it and their wallet. So either way, we are getting more and more people using Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like we always said as well. When we've kind of discussed like, we need to make Bitcoin more user friendly and all that stuff. To a certain extent, I have pushed back on it, and because it's just it won't be difficult once Bitcoin ends up being mass market, because once MasterCard and Visa accept it, you'll just see, like, in your existing banking app, whichever banking app you use, a Bitcoin like field will just appear one day.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to just click it and go, what's this? And you can just move money from pounds into Bitcoin. And it'll just be a click of a button. The next time you tap your card, it will just go in Bitcoin. And
yeah,
so there's no downloading a Lightning wallet or doing all this. Like, Lightning will just come to you in the existing financial world. Like, fintech will just bake it in. And at the moment, it's a bit more difficult because we're just in the early stages of it. It's just normal. It's like we're trying to use the internet in 1994. Like, you got to be quite techie to use the internet in 1994. But fast forward 10 years, now everyone's got Facebook on their phone, and your gran is poking you. You know, that's what happens, right? It's just the evolution of tech. You just got to wait. You just got to wait. And
so everyone wait for your gran to poke you. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying, Mr.
It's always a bit disconcerting when you get that, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, as well, just on that, I guess, you know, the network effect of all of this is you then go and tell your friends, don't you? You tell them, and then, you know, as we always say, we're kind of Mormons in disguise, aren't we? We're telling everybody this is what you need to do, but you won't need to tell anybody because it will just be there. And I saw it just the other day with PayPal. You know, obviously they've got the crypto piece on there now where you could convert into Bitcoin. It just appeared in the app. Simple as that. So it's coming.
Yeah. And you mentioned a chain analysis company before that MasterCard have bought. And then you've also put on a story here that chain analysis themselves have added Bitcoin to their balance sheet.
Correct. That's right.
And so I must admit, I'm not a big fan of these chain analysis companies, and it's partly why we're doing things like Taproot and we use things like Lightning, because essentially all they're doing really is that they're doing kind of KYC, AML type things, and they're chasing Bitcoin around the network, trying to see who we're sending money to, and seeing if it's going to maybe if they've identified some wallets that exist in Iran or something, then if you send Bitcoin to these addresses, then you might be, you know, infringing the sanctions list and what type of stuff. So I'm not a fan of it, but the thing is, the Bitcoin blockchain is open. You can do analysis on it. Undoubtedly, it's going to get used for that. But yeah, so these companies exist, that all these companies like MasterCard, Coinbase, they all do it. But I think, and what I'm hopeful for anyway, is it's going to end up just being a bit of kind of regulatory, almost a showmanship, as in it's like, oh, look, we're doing all we can. But as a real Bitcoiner, if you use Lightning or you use CoinJoin, whenever you're kind of sending a transaction, if you are going to do anything that you know is infringing on the existing financial system, or you just want to have your own privacy, then they can't follow that. They can't undo a lot of that. It makes it a lot more difficult anyway.
Yeah.
Because the main way they do it, right, is say I have a blacklisted wallet and I send some Bitcoin to you. In that transaction now, the Bitcoin, if you were applying for something in the financial service, some of the Bitcoin that you have would now be slightly tainted because you received Bitcoin from me. And chain analysis may flag that and go, you have dealt with someone that is on our block list, so just be wary of you. And they might just block your transaction. They might refuse you as a customer of a service that you're signing up for. You just don't know. Whereas if I coin join it, which essentially what it means is I send it into a pot and it goes out to like 50 addresses, to another 100, then back to 50, and then eventually it gets to you again. Now, when they look at that, it gets lost in a spider web of transactions, and it ultimately came from me, but via 400 people on the way.
Yeah.
So in the chain analysis little report that comes back, the Bitcoin that I sent you, they don't know it was me. It just comes from a load of random addresses that haven't been blacklisted, so it all looks good. So as much as these companies are kind of almost necessary for the big financial world to adopt Bitcoin, hopefully the people that know what they're doing trickle these guys, make their products useless, and we keep our privacy and we do how we want with our Bitcoin anyway.
Is there a way of also doing that to avoid tax?
Yeah. Tax is a very interesting one. That is one that I would, I personally just say just pay it, because it isn't, because a lot of tax is done on trust anyway. And obviously with that kind of stuff, if I'm just sending you some money, right, I might want that to be private. But let's say if you make it to a huge amount of money, and let's say it's going to be £1 million worth of Bitcoin or something,
One day.
The problem is with that type of transaction is it needs to be recorded, right? And so say you receive that and you don't want to, let's just say you want to have all this private, you set up a new wallet for me, and just go send it to this. And I'm like, that's cool. I'll send it from here. I will coin join it, fire it through here. It's going to appear at your wallet, and then you've got it. The issue you've always got is, well, now you have $1 million of Bitcoin that you didn't have. What are you going to do with that? If you're going to spend it and buy some stuff, then the taxman's going to go, where did it come from? We've got your tax return. It says you weren't this year. This was your declaration. Yeah, you got 2 Ferraris sat on the driveway. Where did they come from? And straight away, the consequences for that, you can go, don't know, just that. Well, I don't know what you mean.
We all know pleading ignorance never works.
Exactly, they don't care. They just go, well, we're taking the Ferraris, and then we're also going to fine you, and maybe we'll put you in prison as well.
Yeah.
So it's one of them where you can use it for tax evasion. I just wouldn't recommend it personally. It's like we've said before. I think the number one crime in any jurisdiction is tax evasion. Literally, you're more likely to get away with going out and stabbing someone in the street and just coming home again. They don't mind that type of stuff. Like that's priority 2. Priority 1 for them is, have you given us your fucking pay, your taxes? That's number 1. So of all the laws to break, it's just I wouldn't pick that one personally.
Stay away. This is not financial, this is financial education and entertainment. But definitely take on board that one.
Yeah, I did love every time you guys have been saying the last couple of times, like, this is not financial advice. Within 30 seconds of you saying it, you'd be then buy Bitcoin, which is direct financial advice. You're literally advising people exactly what to do with their money.
Just buy Bitcoin.
It always made me laugh every time it happened. It was decent.
Cool. So I'm gonna.
We're talking about tax.
Kind of
leads on to story number 2 here.
It does exactly that. Yeah. So taxing unrealized capital gains, and I'm always really skeptical with this one, because do they want the loss? Are they going to help you with the losses, especially in this crypto world when it could be down 50% tomorrow? What point are they telling us that this is the stage when we're having to then calculate the realized gains or the unrealized gains?
Yeah, it is a bizarre one, and all the details haven't come out, but it looks like it's gaining traction, right? I think I remember them mentioning this a couple of months ago. Then it's come back again. Now they're saying it's likely going to be in this budget package, that it's a social policy and climate legislation.
Climate is definitely on the rise, isn't it, in terms of an agenda? Because I think ISIS has died down, so climate's on there.
Yeah, and the whole Build Back Better thing. This is just sliding in, isn't it? We'll Build Back Better after the pandemic, and then you got, oh, and by the way, climate, and it's just right hot on its heels to justify a load more rising of taxes and more printing of money. The way I would guess that it's going to work is they'll just set it at an arbitrary date. It'll be the end of the financial year or something. So whenever the financial year is in America, I think they do January to January. So I'd guess that whatever gains you've achieved from January 1st to December 31st, on the difference. So if your shares were worth £1,000 on January 1st, and then you come round to December 31st, they're now worth $2,000. Your gain was 1,000. You didn't sell any, but you've made $1,000 on paper there. That would be taxed. That would count as a taxable gain. So in the UK, that would be 20%. And you would owe the taxman his $200 there of the $1,000 gain, even though you didn't sell it.
Yeah. And so therefore, do you expect and suspect there will be a massive sell-off towards the end of December or maybe even earlier in preparation to pay good old Uncle Sam?
Well, it's going to be weird because if you sell early, it's still a taxable event. So
Yeah.
it's one of those where it just means hodling is harder. It's going to be interesting because yeah, straight away there's going to be people doing exactly that type of thing where you're going to start. It's going to affect buying and selling behavior, but I don't think there's a huge way around it because if you in the financial year, if you just make the $1,000 say on those shares within 1 month and you sell them, that was a taxable event. He still wants his
Yeah.
$200 there.
Yeah.
So whether you wait to the end or not, the problem is you bought that $1,000, you might have had every intention of holding that for 10 years. So you
Mm.
wanted your whole $1,000 to ride for 10. What this does is go, no, no, no. Like at the end of the year, if you grow to 2,000, you can't let the whole 2,000 roll over. You've got to pen it back to 1,800 and then roll it forward again. And if it climbs, you keep getting pegged back your 20%. And as we
Yeah.
know, like compound growth is so important with investing. And by them stopping this, where like long-term investors, it's going to really cripple them
Mm.
and really damage long-term returns.
I'm thinking at this stage as well, because this is something I've definitely been hearing a lot of is obviously there's other asset classes and Bitcoin is no doubt eating into those other asset classes. So people may have gold, for example, and so they sell their gold in order to pay off the gains in Bitcoin or they sell other asset classes within because they want to hold this asset knowing that it's only going to continue, to your point, compounding year after year after year, to eventually be like, right, well, I've gotten rid of everything else that I can until the point when I then have to then start into my Bitcoin.
Yeah. And it's quite important to note that this is only supposed to be for the top 1,000 people in the US at the moment.
Yeah.
But whenever I see this, like we've seen kind of government regulatory creep everywhere, right? They start here, and then eventually it goes, oh, that only raised X billion, so we're just going to roll it out to the top million people now, and then the top 100 million, and before you know it, the whole of America will be paying the taxes on unrealized capital gains. And
It's never enough.
yeah, and it's really just disgusting, right? Because what's the number one piece of advice that everyone's been giving people right now? Because with wages so low, house prices so high, the cost of living going up, the only way of getting out is to play them at their own game, and
Yeah.
it's to invest in the stock market. And admittedly, if you're not a Bitcoiner, this is like if you're a normie, just get as much money as you can that you earn as much as you can, and then get it in the stock market. And at least you'll be keeping up with inflation that way. So as the stock market does, it's 10 or 20% a year. You're not making money there. You're just staying even, but at least
Yeah.
your money's working for you. This is just disgusting because if this ends up coming out, it's going to chop them at the knees and put people off because people hate this type of stuff anyway. It's scary, right?
Yeah.
I hate doing my taxes. I'm terrified when I'm doing it, going, have I calculated all this right? Because I know what the consequences are. Like, they will come for me, they will find me, and maybe even put me in prison if they think I've tried to lie. So I'm really careful when I'm doing my taxes, and I know what I'm doing. And I got time to do this as well. And I'm ultimately a business guy who does investing on the side for fun and also does it seriously. When I look at the average person, they don't know what they're doing on here. And this is just yet another rule that they're going to have to be on top of. And it's because like when I say advising my mum and dad to do this type of thing, I just go, look, just put some money into these shares, hold it for 10 years. And then when you sell them, I'll come tell you what you need to do. And I'll fill in the forms for you. This suddenly now makes it a yearly overhead. And
yes.
it's
already
annoying.
too much of a hurdle to get people into the game as is, and I think it's the way that the media has portrayed stocks and shares anyway. People think that oh, I need to sit in front of my laptop and
Mm.
study it and 24/7. And of course, we know that there's robo advising. There's so many easy on-ramp applications that are out there. Things like Revolut, you can just do it at a click of a button on your phone without having to know pretty much anything. You know, if you want to do it super easy, you can go into ETFs as well. So there's lots of easy things, but it's this back end which I don't even know if it scares people, because I think some people are oblivious to it and just think, well, how will they know? And they'll just ride their whole ignorance course and wave.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because even now, when I talk to normal people about capital gains, they look at me blankly and go, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And so then when you're talking about unrealized capital gains, that's another layer above where they were before. And what's that? It's like, yeah, guess what? Even when you don't sell something, they think you've profited. Even because the thing is, imagine if like you say one of your predictions there comes true, right? Where there's a bit of a rush at the end of the year just to sell, maybe get out.
Yeah.
So what could happen is that you end up like paying your taxes at the end of the year and say, yeah, you had like, you know, $1,000 gain at the end of the year. So you pay your $200. On January 1st, if a load of people dump, your gain might completely disappear. So you paid tax on a profit that is no longer even in existence anymore.
Correct.
And the tax man doesn't care. They just go, oh, well, at least you don't have to pay a tax this year because you didn't make a profit this year. And you go, what?
Yeah. Now, this will be interesting as well. So the calculation, is it kind of like Squid Game, as in who stays in the longest? So if you do your tax return at the very, very last minute and others do it early, meaning that there's a deficit and the price has gone down, therefore you don't actually have to do a return because, well, hey, you know, where I started off, it's now below. I don't have to do anything. Then lo and behold, the next year it goes up again, and yeah, you've made some profit, but at some point you're going to have to take those profits off the table, right?
Yeah, and ultimately, like having shares not go up because everyone's paying their taxes isn't great, is it?
It's not great.
Like, yeah, I don't have to pay any taxes. Yeah, that means you made no money. Like,
yeah,
you're just getting eaten up by inflation. So,
and
we know these shares are going to keep going up in value because they keep printing money, and all that money ends up in the top 500 companies. So, you are going, if you just invest in the stock market year on year, you are going to make money. And if this rolls out and ends up being for everyone, and look, and this is the thing, I put out a tweet. It's a little bit controversial. And I'm just probably going to the nth degree of this a little bit.
When are your tweets never controversial?
I know, I do like pushing the envelope a little bit. You know, people like it. But I just pushed it into property, and when imagine if they did this on property, because this would actually bankrupt people. This is how they steal your home. Right? Because how many of our parents are living in homes where the amount of the mortgage is worth about 10% of what the property is worth now? Yeah, my parents live in a house like that, and their mortgage was tiny, and the end value of the house was much larger. Yeah. Now it all got paid, so they're all good. But imagine if along the way they had to pay tax on their unrealized capital gains. That would have killed them, because. And I just put it out there and went, imagine you have a $300,000 house, and over the course of 10, 20 years, that house 10x'd and it ended up being worth 3 million. It's obviously an extreme example just to like get the maths out there. But then suddenly over the course of those 10, 20 years, you'd have had a taxable gain of 2.7 million. Yeah. So the tax on that would have been $500,000, which is more than the house value at the beginning. So you wouldn't have been able to afford it. Because as an individual, you've probably kind of maxed out your credit. You've bought a house for 300,000. Then through no fault of your own, your house, you didn't do anything to it. Everything else went up by 10x, including your house. So you are no richer. You are not a millionaire now. Well, technically you are a millionaire, but not in the real sense of the term. Like you can't go out and buy Ferraris. It's like, no, you're just an average, normal person. And what happens is that you now can't pay your tax bill. And what happens? You
can't sell your house. Because you have to live somewhere.
You're living in it. And and they won't give you any more debt because
Correct.
300K is already maxed. You owe 500K over the course of this 20 years. So what's going to happen? Mr. BlackRock or Mr. Vanguard might come knocking and go, do you want to lease the house off us? We'll take all your tax liability away from you. Just pay us the monthly fee you were doing for your mortgage. And you can live in the house.
Cheaper.
Yeah. Maybe you'll knock 20% off.
Yeah.
There's just one slight difference that, it's a lease, not ownership. So when you die, there's no kiddies getting this. We get this. Your kids can come in and we'll give them a great rate, but they don't own the thing. They can't sell it. They can come move in, and this is how they get everything. This is how they do it.
Yeah. We'd love them to move in fact, because then it's the next generation for it to continue.
And they'll do it because, and it'll be horrible because they literally in that kind of scenario, it sounds like they're helping you because you'll be terrified, right? Imagine that couple that are living there. They've lived there their whole lives and they earn good money. They've been working hard. And the bank's pressuring them going, look, you need to take out another 100K because the tax man wants this 100K of tax payment and they just don't have it. There's the normal working couple that have a family and just what the hell. And that letter or that phone call will come through and they'll go, look, we can sort all this for you. Just sign these papers. We will take on the tax liability. We will pay the unrealized capital gains all on your behalf for these simple monthly payments. Just sign the house over to us and we'll take it off your hands. And so many people are going, oh, thank you. Thank you for saving my house. I can live here. And they will sign it having no clue what they just did.
Do you think this is how the narrative of you will own nothing and be happy plays out?
Yep. And I know I've gone numerous steps down this, but it's step one, right? They don't do things. They didn't like lock us down straight away for a year. They made us wear masks. Then they told us it's a 2-week flatten the curve. Then they made it 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month. They did it, and before you know it, everyone is locked in their homes, going out for an hour a day. If they ever go near a shop, they're wearing a mask, and everyone's going off to get jabbed. All nice. Like if they just rolled all that out on day one, no one would have done any of it. But it's slowly, then suddenly you just realize, what the hell? What kind of world am I living in?
Yeah.
And this is what they can do with tax laws. They start at the top, and then they roll it down, and then they spread it sideways.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm into the property game, and a lot of property people are actually coming out because they're not realizing as much in terms of the profits that they used to. Whereas for me, I'm coming in and I'm like, oh, well, this is okay because it's, this is new to me. But years and years ago, it used to be so much better. Now, I have got accountants and, I paid zero tax on the properties because I showed a loss. And it'll be interesting to see, how long will that continue to last? Because as we know, the rich and wealthy typically have property. So that's how they get around the whole, tax. It's not a tax evasion, it's tax efficiency.
Yeah. And because they raised all the taxes, didn't they, for the buy-to-let market?
Yeah.
And all that does, it's like with everything, right? If you're already the biggest in the market, what you can do if you've got access to government and you're already the market leader, what you want to do is, if your profit margins are like 30%, what you can, a great way of stopping any competition to come in is to go, you know what, let's reduce our profit margins for 10 years to 5%.
Yeah.
We will still make an absolute shit ton of money because we are the behemoths in this category. We own literally tens of thousands of houses, and at 5% profit margin, we're still going to be multi-billionaires. However, what it does is completely stop all competition coming in. So all those little small buy-to-let people are going to come in going, wow, I can only make 5%. It's barely worth my time, all the risk. And essentially what that does is give them an opportunity to hoover everything up. All those properties get hoovered up by a couple of big companies. And then once it's all safe, once the coast is clear and everyone's stopped, all the buy-to-let market is now virtually dead. It's just all in the hands of a couple of huge companies. They go and have a word with their little politicians again and go, you know, that little tax law we told you to bring in, take it out. Let's ramp up the profit to 30% again. And then suddenly everyone comes out to do the buy to let market, and there's like 4 properties available. And they're like, where'd they all go?
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen it as well, because, you know, they raised that bar for that second property to 25% deposit. Well, we did the maths the other day of the average house price is just under 300K, 75 bags.
Yeah, that's the average person has gone from that, isn't it?
Gone. You know, we're talking about getting a whole Bitcoin at like 45K, and that typically is, you know, for every day is escaping the normal average person, because they're not making that in the year, because the average UK wage, annual wage, is 30K a year, 31 to be exact. So they've got to, you know, spend that plus 50% to get a whole Bitcoin and then do nothing all year. Never going to happen. So it's just chasing them away and away.
Yeah, just keep raising the limit. It's it reminds me what, like, you know, the accredited investor thing, where there's certain funds that are all locked away. You have to be worth more than £2 million.
Yeah,
and you just go, what is this about? And they're like, no, and even the way they phrase it, they go, we're protecting you, because these funds, these are for the rich, and they're very volatile. It's like, yeah, by volatile you mean they go up a lot. Like, why do I need to be worth 2 million to be able to get this? And, you know, obviously we all know we can walk into any casino, put 10 grand on red or black and spin the wheel, and they will happily let you do that. But, oh, can I put 10 grand into one of these magic funds that the 2 million pound people get? No, for your protection, stay away. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're quite protected in that fund. I think you're one of the most protected guys, and these are the best funds that exist. And like, you know, go off to the roulette table, buy some lottery tickets. Right.
It's interesting, that, isn't it? Yeah. If you pass the gateway, then you're pretty much safe. The more you're worth, the safer it is.
Yeah. The more money you've got, and the closer to the money printer you are, the easier it is to make money, which is the average person that is just collecting a salary. You're so far away from it. And the only options you've got are gambling or investing. And as we just discussed, you know, that they're coming for investing. And you can guarantee with all these types of things, there'll be loopholes, and the super rich will find the loopholes. They won't pay their cap gains tax. We know they won't, because this is all going to be on individuals. And guarantee, if you have like 7 shell companies and you're based in Barbados, it won't apply to you. So, you know, Nancy Pelosi, even though she's freaking in the freaking House of freaking in Congress, she'll find a way around it.
Nancy, 2021's Female Investor of the Year. Come on down.
I saw a great tweet actually. Nancy Pelosi's top 5 tips for investing. Number 1, get insider information. Number 2, get insider information. Number 3, get insider information. It's just, all 5 are just learn what the company's going to do, and just fucking bet the ones that are going to go up and short the ones going to go down. Like, she's got a hand on the pulse, hasn't she, when she's sitting in Congress?
Absolutely. And is there any inside information on Bitcoin? Not really. Just buy it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, on Bitcoin there would be, because, like, especially if you're in Congress in America, because imagine that they're going to roll out a thing that says they're going to legalize it. They're going to make it legal tender. Or let's say they're going to put out a ban on mining.
Yeah.
These are critical bits that all these bits of news in America, they take months to flow through. And by the time it's come out, you know, the people that were discussing it originally, they knew 2 months before. So this is what we're talking about, right? It's like these politicians have huge power and can hugely affect, like they can either legitimize or villainize a company or an asset just with a swipe of a pen. One signature, one bill goes through, it can make or break an entire industry. And if you know that's coming, you just trade that information before everyone else knows.
Absolutely. And you know, you tell your mates, you you give them some money, you give them the inside tip, and then you get the money back yourself. So you don't even necessarily have to do it firsthand.
Oh yeah. You have a market, kind of a hedge fund manager that manages your account, and you just text them like, buy this, buy that. And obviously he then goes, all right, if Nancy's buying it, then me and my 20 mates might just follow on a hunch. And everyone's getting their palms greased. Everyone's happy. And everything goes the right. Because I think quite often, I think it's like half the money isn't even Nancy's. It's like her husband. Like, so it's actually technically Nancy's husband is the best investor of the decade. Which I'm pretty sure he sits at home and does nothing. He's a retired guy. So he's fucking nailing it. Like,
he's not one of those guys that sits around reading the Racing Post for horses.
Yeah, weirdly, I think he does. I don't think he does a single bit of investing personally. His name's just on the account for like hiding Nancy's name or putting her one step away from it.
So we've got story. I was going to say breaking the 2.2 trillion asset manager PIMCO. So they plan to buy more crypto.
So obviously it's that trillion word, like literally until this year, like the word trillion just never came up. Now these guys had 2.2 trillion assets, and they want more crypto, which obviously always makes me cringe. But the good thing is, whenever people mention crypto, they normally mean at least 70% Bitcoin. That tends to be the thing. And there's just going to be a bag of shit that they tag on for YOLOing. But the majority of the fund will probably be put into Bitcoin. And normally it's like say 70% Bitcoin, 20% ETH, and then 10% complete and utter shit. Just so they probably feel that they're doing something. Because if you just go and buy a load of Bitcoin, it's like, well, what are we paying you for? Any dick can go buy Bitcoin. But it's like, no, but I'm a crypto expert. So I deserve my $1 million a year salary because I know the best shit coins to buy. And it's like, all right, fine. You justified your existence because you just bought Bitcoin. Then I fire you and just get someone else, right?
Yeah, because I was hearing a lot about this of like companies just simply bypassing Bitcoin altogether and then going to ETH instead because they're like, oh, well, we've kind of missed the boat there. But then some missing ETH and then going on to Cardano or Solana, just as thinking, okay, well, that's going to be the next moon because things never really in the tech world moon off the very first iteration. So we'll go further down the line and perhaps that's the one that's going to be the greatest. They're forgetting, however, the immaculate conception, which is Bitcoin.
I know. And these guys, to a certain extent, like if I was an owner of a fund like this, I probably would throw some shit coins in just because I'm doing it for gains. And I would make sure that I'm always trying to just make quick gains, convert into Bitcoin. But the majority of my fund would be Bitcoin. And maybe I would go and actually spend a bit of time on shitcoinery because that's my job, right? I wouldn't enjoy this job. It's just buying random assets, hoping the price goes up and then converting into Bitcoin. It's just much easier just to keep it nice and simple, buy Bitcoin and let it go.
Yeah. One of the things from the person that will go and remain nameless is they said, oh, surely you think you've missed the boat now with Bitcoin because you won't get that rich off it. And what I mean by that rich off it is that you're not going to, if you get £1 million, it's not going to change your life. Or even if it goes to 2 million, the coin, it's not going to like really change your life. And I was just like, I think they're thinking too small a time frame. And, when it goes 10 years, I cannot see in the life of me, God forbid, in 10 years time, that it's only $1 million a coin. I feel like it would be so much more, but they're just thinking in this short-term window of, okay, yeah, great, it's 45, okay, that's nice money, but it's not really life-changing money. but I feel like in 10 years' time, it really would be that life-changing money, and people aren't expanding their minds to think actually 10, 15, 20 years from now, what's that going to be?
Number one, like they're turning their nose up at 100x. So go fuck yourself. Like, so say we're at 50K now, it's going to 5 million. Like that's just baked in. Next 5 years, 5 million. So what's 100 times your money? So put $1,000 in, you get 100 grand. Put 10 grand in, you're a millionaire. There you go. You're just turning your nose up at a cheeky milli from a 10K investment. So number one, you're retarded and you're stupid and have fun staying poor and you're not going to make it. Number one. However, like number two is Bitcoin is ultimately going to infinity. That's where this goes, right? Go and ask the people in Africa that were using agri beads as their currency. Go and ask the people on Yap Island that were using rhinestones as their currency, how much those things are worth today. Did gold end up being worth 5 million a coin compared to the beads? No, the beads went to zero. The stones went to zero. So where is the pound and the dollar going? Like when we get to like the 5, 10, 15 million a Bitcoin, no one will accept any small amount of Bitcoins. You could go up to a Bitcoiner and go, oh, I have 10 grand in cash. Can I please have like 10,000 Satoshis from you? You'll go, no, because tomorrow that 10,000 in cash will be worth 5,000 Satoshis or 2,000. So it's no. And that is the point where you get hyperinflation. And essentially, you can't give £1 million for one Satoshi because Bitcoin is infinity. Bitcoin is now the global currency of the world. And just as rhinestones and these agri beads, overnight, but or to a certain extent, over a couple of decades, eventually it comes to a point where they have lost all their value and no one values them. Everyone values the global currency, which was gold back in the day. And it will be Bitcoin, because to a certain extent, like if gold wasn't used for like jewelry and all that type of stuff today, like how much, what if someone came up to you in a shop and went, oh, for this TV, instead of giving you pounds, I want to give you some gold coins. They look at you like you're fucking crazy. Like, what are you talking about? I don't want gold. What am I going to do with the gold coins? Like, I don't know, make some jewelry out of it. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, gold essentially as a medium of exchange is also worth zero to a certain extent because it just doesn't function as money. It functions as jewelry only. And that will be the same with pounds and dollars. So all these people, and the problem is these people that are saying it's too late, like they're purely thinking gains. And like I said, you're turning your nose up at 100x, but they're not thinking the next step, which is this is going to be the global currency of the globe. This isn't about gains.
I also think you're absolutely right. There's no research, and it's laziness again, isn't it? I hate to just use that, but it's just laziness to think, oh, it's never going to be this. And I just think, I've said it before on the show, this is it's like the internet, it's like the iPhone. What it starts out as right now is not what it's going to be like tomorrow or the day after that or the day after that. And it is only going to get better and better with no marketing team.
Yeah, the great thing about Bitcoin is like once you become a Bitcoiner and you're a year or two in, you become a marketing department. Like every pleb becomes a Mormon, right? Not. Hello, have you heard of your Lord and Savior, Satoshi Nakamoto? And
that's the one. We're doing peace missions to El Salvador.
Exactly, yeah. It makes everyone that owns Bitcoin becomes part of the marketing team, and it's unbeatable, right? It's not it's never going to stop because we keep onboarding millions of Bitcoiners sign up for various accounts every day, and it's unstoppable.
Yeah, and I mean, whilst we've been off, of course, we've seen the onboarding of Twitter, so I'm sure you've seen it. Tips, and that's onboarded is it 200 million users Twitter has? So straight away, there's more people on ramp, nice and easy, with the ability to send Bitcoin to one another. And I think that also leads us on quite nicely to the Jack Dorsey story, where he talks about inflation and it's coming. You know,
Yeah.
the I word always gets used on this show, and what would it be without a week of without us mentioning it once again?
I know. Well, he put the H word in front of it as well.
Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Like the word hyper,
Inflate.
which
Yes.
triggered a lot of people. So, yeah, so Jack tweeted his tweet is hyperinflation is going to change everything. It's happening.
Yeah.
And a nice, short, and distinct like little tweet there. And wow, did the people in fiat and government come out and go, this is reckless. You shouldn't say these things. And if anything, it really did sense like they were really scared. It's almost like people were memeing it going, it's like Beetlejuice. You know, like if you say the word 3 times, like Beetlejuice appears.
Yes.
As if we say hyperinflation 3 times, it just magically happens. It's like, no, it happens when you inflate the supply of money by 20 to 30% every year for a number of years and just pretend you're not doing it. Like, that's what causes hyperinflation, because in the end, you lose control. The people and the rest of the world lose trust in your currency and they stop accepting it, which then just sends its value to infinity, which essentially then means, you know, it doesn't buy anything.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy. Those 8 words, you know, simple sentence, hyperinflation is going to change everything. It's happening.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Chaos, cause complete fucking chaos. Yeah. Just because he's got so many followers, he's so like articles around the world have been written about it, and yeah, it's going to wake more and more people up to that key term. Like, you know, is the US dollar going to hyperinflate? And people have been saying no, it can't, not going to happen to us. Like, we're better than Venezuela, we're better than Zimbabwe, we're better than Germany. It's not, America's just different. No, you're not.
No.
You print your money out of control and people lose faith in it. It happens. And that's what you're doing right now. Like, say you're not. Like, give me evidence to suggest it isn't going to happen. And you can't point to any, because the charts for the printing of dollars is just going straight up. It's like the Bitcoin price, only going one way.
Yeah, I'd love to understand how, you know, they believe that this is the only nation whose currency isn't going to zero, when we know that every currency eventually dies.
Yeah.
Don't see it happening. You know, what are they doing that is doing anything different that's not going to come out to the eventual outcome?
Yeah. If the last if over the last like 2 years, instead of having this whole lockdown thing, if they'd have been really like withdrawing troops, like controlling their costs on wars, and really like refining back their public spending, I would be going, right, it's not going to happen anytime soon. You know, they are actually being responsible. You know, the data suggests that, yeah, they are. It's still going to go to hyperinflation because the governments are getting bigger. It's still expanding, but not at such a rate that it could happen any minute. But the last 2 years, they have done the absolute worst that they've ever done since 1971.
Doing the most.
Gone completely crazy, which is why the trillion word now that we had not even said 2 years ago, because it's just too much of a high number. Like billion was as high as you ever could go. Like billion was the peak. Now trillion is, and yeah, last year I think they printed 4 trillion. This year they've already got a bill for 6 trillion. I think they want another 3.5 later in the year. It's just gone absolutely nuts, and of course it's going that way. And yeah, and I think that what they want really is that people just don't talk about it. I think if they think that, and I think this is what they also know as well, that money is a belief system. And if people don't believe the currency is hyperinflating, then technically it doesn't, because provided people still value dollars and accept them, then it doesn't matter how many there are of them. They're obviously being worth less and less over time, but it doesn't completely lose its value. But once the people click in and they start going, I don't want dollars now, I want something else, that's when they completely lose control. So I think it's why they're trying to control the narrative here and go, look, let's stop talking about this hyperinflation thing. It's not going to happen to us. Let's just all calm down and be a bit sensible. And yeah, it'll work. It'll
I can't
work.
tell you how many people over the last like month or two, just normies, have been telling me, realizing things are getting really expensive,
Mm.
you know, and I do think, whilst they may not necessarily have a plan of investing into assets, getting financially educated and understanding what's going on, or in our three simple words of financial advice, just buy Bitcoin. You know, what else could they do? They're just thinking, wow, you know, I'm going to have to cut back on some of these luxuries. I might have to unsubscribe from my Netflix account and so on. You know, they're trying to dial back, but you're going to get to a stage where even after dialing back, it's still going to be too much.
Yeah. But that's the thing, isn't it? Because people have, at least this is the one where there's so many lies that come out from government. This is provable, right? So when they say inflation is transitory, or it just doesn't even exist, or they come out of a number, right? They've lied about inflation forever. You know, we know, as we've discussed on here before, that the basket of goods, any item that's in the basket of goods that's inflated by too much, they take it out and go, oh, it's an anomaly. And then they keep in the stuff to keep inflation between 2 and 5%. It's just hilarious. So this year they've done the same, right? They've took out meat. And meat's inflated by like 20, 30%. Take meat out, just leave some of the veg in. Oh, actually, but not that one. And they keep throwing stuff on the floor and just cherry picking the items that fit their 2 to 5%. So yet again, even this year, they said it's the top end. So instead of 2%, they're probably saying 5.
Yeah.
But they're not saying any higher than that. Yeah, you can just go down to the petrol station and have a look at the price. It's right there. The price of petrol has gone up by 25%. It's right there. And yeah, in your weekly shop, it would have gone up by 25%. I've noticed it myself.
Oh, massively. The local forecourt prices for petrol were like those prices which you used to see on the motorway that you said to yourself, oh, I would never pay that. I'd rather push the car to the next petrol station than pay that. No, well, those prices are now next to you, you know, at your nearest petrol station. And I daren't even think what it is on the motorway right now.
It's over 160 now.
Wow. Yeah.
I passed one the other day.
I got 150 today, or 149.9.
Wow. Well, and that was just in a normal one.
Just in a normal Shell garage next to Tesco.
Wow. That's high. Yeah. I know someone that paid like 165 or something. Wow. And it was and at the time it was 140 around where I am.
Yeah.
that was a services one that is typically, you know, always like 15% more, 20% more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just hope that, you know, this spell that people have, that just blindly believing what the government tell them. And obviously they've lied all the way through, and it's constant. And obviously a lot of people believe everything they've said about lockdowns and vaccines and all that stuff. And look, to a certain extent, it's very hard to ever bring those guys back. But inflation is something that, look, you are working every day for it. They are telling you that inflation is 5%. You can see your costs have gone up by 20 or 30%. You can see it. Why do you not think anyone's on TV is admitting it? Like, they are directly lying to your face. So I'm just hoping it's yet another thing that it's black and white, this, right? It's just provable. So when people try and debate it, and if people go, oh, isn't the cost of this gone up? You go, yeah, inflation.
Yeah. And
and by the way, you took a 20% pay cut this year. How much of a pay rise did you get? In line with inflation, like I got 3%. No, you didn't. That was a 17% pay cut. Why did you allow your company to do that? And and it's one of them where it's quite a short argument, I think, that should be.
People only, the easiest way for people to argue it is arguing it against a company saying, you need to pay me more.
Yeah.
That is one thing, obviously, you know, in a job right now, I'm hearing every other week, you need to pay me more. You're not paying the market trend. And really, they are. But market trend, it can't keep up with the way that the inflation is going.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting because, employers always blame the wrong people. right?
Yeah.
This is why it always annoys me when, the big employers get so much shit from people, and it's a case of, no, they are paying like the market rate for a thing, and when they first paid that, it was fine. That was a living wage. Then you fast forward 5 or 10 years, everyone still demands their goods for the same price. It's like, I still want the t-shirt for $5 or whatever it might be, but then, oh, but now you want the employees to be paid double because of inflation, but you got to keep the t-shirt at $5. And you go, well, no, you can't have everything, can you? So all that happens is it ends up being that wages always drag, like prices end up catching up, and then from the profit they end up paying the salaries back. But ultimately, if the money wasn't being devalued constantly, none of this problem, like if we're on a Bitcoin standard, we just end up getting to this nice place where money is worth a set thing, the price of goods is a set thing. We agree what people should be paid for certain jobs. You can now choose what job you get, and it pretty much stays the same. Like if you get a pay rise, it will be a genuine pay rise. You now earn more. Whereas at the moment, it's like, no, I need 5 or 10% at least just to be paying the same. So employers are like constantly chasing their own tail, going, we can't pay everyone 10% more or 20% more. So in the end, you end up leaving employees behind, and people end up genuinely worse off because of inflation. And
I think people are necessary and not afraid as well, because everyone's working from home, to look at a new employer, easily. It's definitely happened a lot. Again, from an insider's perspective as an employee, there's so many vacancies still on our books, like over 100 vacancies across the company.
Pretty incredible. And in another place, it was another example actually of the little lodge that I went to. It's got a restaurant on there, but it was closed. And when we asked why, it was because they couldn't get any staff.
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah.
People don't want minimum wage jobs. They would rather take the benefits and then I think just YOLO them, like the furlough money, and just YOLO it on Robinhood and just investing in some shit coinery. Because like working for minimum wage is just not worth it, right? It's just not.
It's not worth it at all, especially these kids nowadays. They don't want to work at all anyway. So working for minimum wage, forget that.
Doing a hard job like in retail or in the service industry with food and stuff. Like I still say that was the hardest job I ever did, was being a waiter when I was like 16. And they're just going, for the money you give us now, it's just not worth it. Like what, we're going to work an entire day and I can get like half a shirt or something. And I just
exactly
not worth it. And it's not, the risk reward isn't worth it. I'd rather just do what I want today, take benefits, and then invest it and see what I can do with the money. And I hate to say it, but this is starting to move towards this place of the younger generation. They either are really talented and manage to get like entrepreneurial and they fly, but the masses just get left behind and aren't taking these jobs that ultimately, once you need to learn the work ethic and then build up, right? You get into these careers and then you blossom later on. Because they're not even trying, we might be literally living in a world where you fast forward and there's a huge generation of people that are just dependent on government handouts.
Massively. And because I think there used to also be a sense of pride of doing a good job, having a nice career, and then obviously advancing. But if you're starting off on a shit wage, but you can immediately get it from the government for cheaper, right, well, I'll take the path of least resistance, please. I'll have that. And I think it then just breeds more and more content, and expands more and more. Because imagine you are the person that says, no, actually, I'm going to work, even though I'm going to earn less than you, just because you think, I want to get out of the house and I want to do something. It's really going to grind your gears when you don't want to get up those days and you're looking at your friends thinking, they're doing nothing and earning more than me. You're going to give up. It's just going to eventually grind you down and give up.
Yeah. because like these kids at the end of the day, that they're smart as well. So it's all about how much money am I going to make, and
Yeah.
how does that translate to the real world. And I think when you suddenly start, what you were saying before about your house deposit and going,
Yeah.
let's just assume it's between that 30 to 75k mark. They're
Yeah.
looking at that as young kids going, well, that's just never going to happen.
Exactly.
Never.
Never going to get there.
So what's the point of even trying?
Yeah.
I may as well, the counter house suddenly looks quite appealing.
Yeah.
Let's go that route. And I'd say this is the great reset. This is the you'll own nothing and be happy. Force people into these government handouts, and before you know it, they end up just doing menial jobs in the end for very low money, or just getting handouts and just told to not cause any trouble. But yeah, it's just, and obviously in the UK as well, obviously we did Brexit as well, didn't we? So a load of the low skilled labor of people that were willing to do these types of jobs and then send the money home, we sent them home anyway. So
of course we did.
Now we have a load of restaurants, shops, all in these kind of relatively remote locations that no one wanted to work. There's not like a huge supply of like low skilled labor there. And yeah, they were taking up the slack, and we sent them all home. And now there's loads of jobs and little businesses that have no staff.
I don't see people changing, by the way, or like from just in my opinion, we're living in this society now where everybody wants everything tomorrow or today. Why would people then take up those roles which others that have now moved back home because of Brexit and pick up those jobs? I just don't see it. There's no incentive whatsoever for them to do so.
No. And it was just a laugh. I actually saw last week, there's a story where I think there's no truck drivers as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's a really tough job, right? And then I saw Boris put out some type of incentive for 3 to 6 months. He would give like a fast track visa and some money to some Europeans to come in and drive trucks for us. And I just looked at it and went, you're such a moron. And why would someone uproot their entire life to drive a truck around the UK for 3 to 6 months? Like, no, they're not going to do that. Like, they've got families. Like, if they're going to do a job like that, they were going to come here and then work here for a number of years, build a life, bring their family. Like, they know you're just bringing them in to do the shittest jobs that no one else wants to do, to get you through a backlog and then send you home again and be just disrespectful to you at the end of that job, even though you're the one that's bailed us out of this problem. You're just going to get sent home. The second your visa finishes, you're going to be treated like a criminal here again, and you've got to leave. Why would anyone let themselves be treated like that? They just won't. And
it's only going to be the young and the I won't say necessarily the down and out, but I've got nothing else going for me. It's a job, 3 months, snatch and grab, but not many at all.
No. But anyway, there's Peter Thiel. Have you heard of Peter Thiel? You know him, don't you?
Yeah, from obviously worked with Elon in the early days with PayPal.
Yeah. So he did a great interview last week where he essentially said that he thinks Bitcoin is the canary in the coal mine. It's the most honest market we have in the country, and it's telling us that the decrepit regime is just about to blow up. So I just love this. It's and I think he's absolutely spot on, because what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. It's a new form of money, and if we are wrong, then people will not buy it. Yep. And when Bitcoin went crazy last week, I went to 67,000 last Wednesday. It was good timing where he was just interviewed, and he went, yeah, this is proving that the people are voting with their money, and they are taking it out of dollars and converting it into a better form of money. And Bitcoin is the canary in the coal mine, and essentially the canary has flopped over. It's dead. It's saying that there's gases in the mine. Get out, run. The canary's dead. All the miners are about to die. Run, get out of that mine. And the mine is the US dollar.
Yeah.
it's on fire. That mind's about to collapse. And I think he's spot on, and he's a super smart guy, Peter. He does not say things like this lightly. Don't know if you've ever heard him like talking on YouTube and on his podcasts. Super smart thinker. Like, he does not say these things. He's not like an Elon. Elon shoots from the hip sometimes. Elon likes his memes. He likes joking, and you can never quite tell whether Elon is in genius mode or troll mode. Peter doesn't have a troll mode. He is straight down the line, very sensible. He would not say stuff like this unless he genuinely thought it. So again, it's yet another person to add to our ranks, really, and go, number one, he's been a Bitcoiner for years, by the way. I think he's been in for the last 7 or 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's a very early investor in Bitcoin, even though hilariously he still says he feels that he's underallocated, which he's talking in the tens of billions, I can guarantee you. So, but he's just super, super rich. Like, once he left PayPal, he had his hundreds of millions. He set up an investment firm and pretty much invested in every big company that has ever come out in the last 20 years. Like, he's nailed every single one. So he is uber rich. So I think by him saying he's underinvested, he just means maybe he's more 10 or 20% maybe, and he probably wants to be higher, which is great. That's music to our ears, right? Because that means Peter wants to drop a 10 or 20 billion in. So that's going to be another $10,000 or $20,000 day when Peter finally gets his money together, which
we'll take that. Thank you. Yes, please. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, there are so many people along these lines now with pure credibility. Peter Thiel, Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, obviously our favorite Max Kaiser, Robert Kiyosaki, who I always think like, oh my God, you've already said this, and then lo and behold, it happens. These are credible heavyweights in the world of financial investing, and they are coming out with this, and you just got to stand up and listen, and not only just listen, take action.
Yeah, it's past a bit of like looking cool, isn't it?
Yeah, far from it.
Oh, this new flash tech. I want to be known for the guy that said it first. Like, number one, you don't really get any credit for that anymore. If anything, I would say Bitcoin is anti-cool now. It's almost like it's like the new guys call it like boomer coin, right? And unless you're talking about DeFi or NFTs, like this Bitcoin thing, like, oh, isn't Bitcoin like done now? So when Peter come out and go, no, this is number one, this is my biggest investment, and if anything, I'm gutted I haven't got even more in, and I'm going to move more. He's not saying it to be controversial. He's not saying it to get headlines. He's just saying it because that's what he actually thinks. And I don't know which almost like big financial titan that you follow, but they've nearly all fallen. The only one I can remember is Warren Buffett and his little mate. They're going to be
Warren and Charlie.
That's Charlie. What's his name? Charlie Duncan.
Charlie Munger.
That's him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they're going to go to the grave, aren't they?
I think Charlie's 97 or something. Warren's, I think, just turned 90. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to capitulate. But I think we might have time still to work on Peter Schiff.
Yeah, I think he will. God, do you know who else capitulated this week as well? What's his name? The guy from The Big Short, Michael Burry.
Michael Burry, is he what?
He capitulated, or he deleted his Twitter account.
Again?
Yeah, because his two big shorts with Tesla and Bitcoin. And Tesla's at all-time highs, and so is Bitcoin, or in the same week. He's so wrecked. He's so wrecked.
He must be wrecked, and Kathy must be. Do you know what I believe with these guys as well? Like, even though they're like competitors, probably have each other's phone numbers, and so she's messaging him. So take yourself off social media, but he's probably waking up to a text or a WhatsApp every day with her saying, "Just added another zero on." Like, the funds just got larger.
Oh man, like the trades he's made since 2008 I know he made a couple of billion during that, but gee, he must be in the red now. He's made so many bad trades. He's bet on Tesla and Bitcoin to go down for the last decade, and he has been wrong the whole way. The whole way. And all he had to do is just be. He literally, when he started shorting Tesla and Bitcoin, if he'd just gone, you know what, I'm going to have a 1% allocation to both of them, he would have raked it in.
Yeah.
Like for him, a 1% allocation would have been 10 million. Like,
yeah.
It would be insane. And that 10 million would be now worth hundreds of millions in both Tesla and in Bitcoin. And instead of trying to be smart and go, no, I'm going to short it by $1 billion to try and make like 200 million. Like, why are you risking $1 billion to make 200 million? Like, it's just silly. Like, you're betting on stuff to go down. It's so much harder to short. But he loves shorting. He doesn't like longing. And he's been wrong the whole way.
It'd be interesting to see if and when, obviously, he comes back. And I mean, he's not a guy that does many interviews anyway, but just to get his thoughts on, okay, this happened, all-time highs in both categories, just get a little bit of overview, like, what's he doing today? Like, has he got out of bed? Has he got changed? Has he had a shower? Like, how's he? I'm sure he's not on the breadline, but at the same time, what's he doing with that red deficit looming all over his head? I'd love to understand.
Yeah, well, I think we probably got a good sight of that during the Big Short. He'll be sat in his office, no shoes on, hoodie, hasn't showered for 4 days, listening to Iron Maiden, air drumming.
Yeah.
And the guy is on the spectrum, right? He's super intelligent, but yeah, he's a bit socially out there. So I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure you would even know if he made $1 billion or lost $1 billion. I don't think you'd know, because he's just a character, isn't he? He's just.
Is there any chance that he's got some emergency fund stuck away somewhere and he's just like, oh, fuck it, I'll just join him? And then he comes and rides the wave.
I really hope so. I'd love to have him on board. I hate betting against people like this. It's like when I had to lose Elon, like Michael Bowie. It was horrible. These guys are my heroes. And then I come into Bitcoin and these guys they start betting against us, and so many people have joined, right? You got Peter Thiel joined, and normally Elon has joined. But Michael Bowie got left in the dust, and it's a shame. I hope he's one of the guys that does capitulate at some point, but in the right way, and doesn't just lose all his money. But goes, you know what? I was wrong, because the problem is each time Tesla and Bitcoin have hit all-time highs, all he's done is gone, all my analysis is now even more true. It's going to go down even harder now.
Yeah,
it's like, no, but what price do you agree you were wrong? And it doesn't seem like he's got one. It's like, no, the higher the price goes, the more right I am, and the more profit I'm going to make when it falls. You're like, no, mate, you got to no.
It must be so degrading as well, because of course it's not just an opinion that he is coming from. I'm sure there will be countless hours of analysis into, these are the reasons why. If we were going to have a debate, he would have his classic show your workings out. He show his workings out as to where he's come from, and I think on paper it would sound great, but we've seen the reality of what it's come out to.
It's like what we started this with, when Tesla got a $4 billion order and their share price went up by 250 billion. He'll be looking at that going, that is dumb, and that is not sustainable, and will come back down. And I think to a certain extent, I think he is right, but we're in such a bizarre market right now where money is being printed at such a high rate. And I think he's slightly in the category ultimately of a Peter Schiff, where he has 98% of the data spot on, but you've got 2% of it wrong, and it's the solution bit, and the solution is Bitcoin. So that is why shares like Tesla are going crazy. Like, number one, he did fundamentally underestimate people like Elon, and Elon should never have been able to do what he did. He's a once in a generation type guy. He did create two of the companies that are just fucking impossible to build, and he built them. So he bet against the wrong person there. But number two, on the valuation of that company, he just underestimated how far this money printer can go, and so much of that money funneled into this company. And now I agree. Like, I do think companies like Tesla now are hugely overvalued. It is totally insane, but it's because money is insane and inflation is insane, and no one knows what the value of anything is anymore because there's so many dollars sloshing about. So all you can do is go, I just need to hedge against this collapse, and that is buying Bitcoin. And yeah, and you can look at Bitcoin and go, oh, it's only worth what the price of people will pay for it and all that kind of stuff. But that just means you don't understand decentralization. You don't understand the perfect conception. You don't understand like how you can send it anywhere, that it's unhackable, it's immutable, and it has every quality of sound money. And yeah, if you miss that, then I get it. Like, Michael Burry is basically looking at Bitcoin just as we look at Cumrocket, and I'm with him on that one. But you're missing. I think there's 9,000 shitcoins and one Bitcoin, and I agree with him. It's almost like the whole how religious are you? Like, I'm an atheist, but I always think like Christians are virtually like the same as me. Like, you don't believe in 4,999 gods. I just don't believe in 5,000. So there's only a difference of one. So it's like we're virtually the same, right? But the Christian will go, yeah, but you're so wrong because you're missing the one God that is the real one. Oh, right. And bizarrely, like, we sound like the Christians here, where we're like, yeah, we don't believe in the 9,000 shitcoins either. But this one is the one. And he's just going, bollocks, I'm an atheist. They're all shit. And he just needs to read the Bitcoin Standard and listen to some podcasts, have a conversation with Michael Saylor, and he'll get converted.
Do you know what I was also thinking whilst you were talking now on the Tesla front, is Hertz's competitors like an Avis or a Rent-A-Car and all the others, surely they also have to put in some form of order as well. Because if you are a customer and you've got this electric car, you probably then don't have to, because in London there's that congestion charge, but you don't have to pay the congestion charge if you're in obviously a low emissions vehicle or an electric vehicle. So tick. 2, you get to drive a cool car, tick. So straight away you do that. But then also consumers, like the average consumer probably then doesn't also own a Tesla, but lo and behold, they've now driven a Tesla, because you can't typically test drive Teslas because there is none available because, production's so low. Great. I've had a great weekend. I've gone abroad. I'm going to put in my next order and it's going to be, lo and behold, a Tesla. So they've done a really interesting thing because they've probably increased orders as well. So for Tesla. So the price is no doubt going to continue to go higher and higher as well with those two examples.
Yeah. Well, you've justified some of the gap between 4 billion and 250 billion there.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Hey, Burry, I'm trying to help you sleep at night, man.
He'd be ranting at you right now, going, okay, I'll allow another 4 billion. You're still 242 billion short. Where's that coming from?
I know. Hey, if we ever get Michael Burry as a guest, or even just as a listener, we know we've made it, right?
Oh man, yeah, that would be. I would massively fanboy over that.
Yeah.
Even if all he does is come on here and call me an idiot, I'll take it. Do you want to talk about mining?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we can start off with a story from Riot Blockchain that they seems to have got an immersion called Bitcoin mining operation, which sounds pretty swish. Because I think this is the thing with mining, right? But miners have been evolving over the last 10 years, but essentially they've just been boxes and with fans on, and cooling these things has been a big problem and costs a lot of energy to run the miners, and then also a lot of energy just to cool them down. So it's one of the big costs with Bitcoin mining, and it's one of the reasons why people have been setting up in cold countries, because you can, instead of having like air conditioning, you can essentially just have a fan that takes outside air, brings it in, and provide the outside air is nice and cool. Then it kind of works. And you're kind of getting it for free, or at least a lot cheaper than aircon. But we've seen immersion cooling in computing for quite a while. You can, for the big mainframes and very like swish kind of like mining setups and kind of big server farms sometimes that you see Google and Amazon have, they literally have servers immersed in fluid, in liquid. It's, you can cool the liquid down, keeps all the chips nice and cool, but it's not water. It's this very special kind of liquid substance or cooling stuff that just works very efficiently at keeping electronics cool. Also keeps dust off them and all types of stuff. And yeah, so Riot is one of the biggest miners already in Bitcoin, and they think they've managed to find a specialized fluid that circulates through the miners and keeps them nice and cool. And they're going to roll them out in Q4 2021, which is pretty much now. So that could be
the
quite
company
cool.
that make the ASICs. Are they publicly traded?
Oh, Antminer.
Well,
There's a few of them. There's probably, this is the thing, we do need more manufacturers of miners. I think there's a couple of American companies and then a lot of them in Asia. And I think, I'm not sure if any of them are on the stock exchange though. I don't,
because I was just
Riot
thinking about
Riot's a mine. I'm not sure if Riot make, actually, yeah, Riot do make their own mining equipment, and that Riot is on the stock exchange.
Okay, right, yeah. Because when we did the BlackRock and Vanguard episode, I was thinking, because miners, I think I heard a stat of get around about, between the whole network, around about $60 million, like literally a day, or they've made $60 million through transactions and fees and so on, within order to protect the network. More misinformation, no doubt, from Sir Neverlook, so double check that. But ultimately, I was like, how do the likes of Vanguard and BlackRock buy into those privately held companies if they are obviously not on the stock exchange? And could you know, mining will no doubt, and a company get exponentially really, really big because they've got Bitcoin on their balance sheet and Bitcoin is continuing to go up, and then, you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. And whilst you were talking, I just thought I'd go, let's have a look at the top shareholders of Riot blockchain. You never guess the top two.
Are they in there? BlackRock, Vanguard?
Vanguard, number one with 5.97%. BlackRock, number two, 5.8%. And then there's a load of smaller investments.
Wow.
And the next biggest is 2.5. And these are these random little investment companies that we've heard of, which we know who owns them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's yet another. They own 11%. Actually, virtually 12%. So give or take, the classic 10%.
Classic.
BlackRock and Vanguard. I can't believe it. I just saw it when I just Googled it. And there they are, that top of the list.
No company is like safe.
And even in there's mutual fund holders as well. So there's institutional holders and mutual fund holders. And Vanguard owns another 2% here, another 1.2, another 1, and another 0.5%, and another 0.5%, because there's loads of Vanguard funds. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 10 mutual funds in Riot are Vanguard as well. And if I add them up super quick, it's about another 5%.
Yeah.
So Vanguard own
10% with BlackRock with 5.
Yeah, so that's 15, 16, 17. Yeah. When you add up all the points, it's about 17% of the company is owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. And that's Riot Blockchain, who are a Bitcoin mining company.
Wow.
Just, it kind of makes you want to give up in a way, doesn't it? It's just thank God it's all about self-custody. It's not just about the price gains, because
Yeah.
the problem is those elites, the Rothschilds, the George Soroses, they're exposed to the Bitcoin price appreciation. They're gonna get it. Every single time a Bitcoin company appears on the stock market, they go and grab their 10, 15%, don't they? They've done it with Riot right there.
Done it. Unbelievable.
They can't take our Bitcoin. They can't. They can tax it. They can
tax it.
We can move. I must admit, like it's the whole unrealized gains thing, because if you don't sell,
move where? Yeah, exactly.
Like, but yeah, well, move. It's like literally, like Saylor's even been talking about it. Like, he'll buy a country, and that's what we need. We need our Giga Chad to like buy us a country with his multiple trillions of dollars worth of Bitcoin when it comes to it, and then just he can be our like king, and we're like, we'll bow down to him. He can set some tax laws and some low level laws, and we can like choose whether we want to move there or not.
Maybe that's obviously the idea that I came up with for which of the next 10 countries or so that will adopt Bitcoin. Maybe we try to research into specific categories of, is it going to be tax-free? Like, where were you prior to?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was tax free, but that was just.
But didn't you need a tenure, didn't you, of like being there for a number of years before it became tax free?
Yeah. Well, I think if you're going to create a Bitcoin citadel, like it has to be tax free for life. Every Bitcoiner will tell you taxation is theft. We will pay our way. We should pay.
Oh, absolutely.
Pay your own way, and so I would imagine if Saylor creates something like that, then let's just move in, and you pay your way. You just as we pay for your TV and for your mobile phone, like you will pay for your health to someone to empty the bins, and it'll just be a subscription service, right? And you can cancel it, set a different one up. It'll just be and that's how we used to work, right? When you go back a couple of hundred years, that's how we used to work. All these taxes didn't exist. They've invented them the last couple of hundred years.
Yeah.
Do you want to stick on mining? Because we've got some mining questions, haven't we? It was our Bitcoin lesson.
Let's go.
So in this one.
This has. I mean, we didn't want to do it a disservice. So, do you want to take us through how to build your own node?
Oh Jesus, I'm not going to do that. But that's like
I had an early start this morning, so that's an episode within itself. And do you know what I have been thinking as well? And I know it's super hard because, I dedicate the evening to this. And we probably need to increase the number of shows to get through everything.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Because, this is some of these topics.
There's so much that happens.
Yeah, it is crazy. So some of the times, like there's a couple of things that we're discussing today. I hadn't put them on the list, but I'm like, we've got to put them on. But I'm like, it's already full. So I don't want to like keep padding it out too much. You're like, but it's good stuff. But a node, right? So what is a node, right? So a node is different to a miner, number one. So a miner actually tries to solve the algorithm to solve the next block reward and get the block reward as well as the Bitcoin fees that are in that block. And then all the transactions get put onto the block. That miner would then attaches that block to the previous one in the chain, which is why it's called a blockchain. And it moves on to the next block and tries to solve the mathematical algorithm yet again to try and solve the next block. That typically happens every 10 minutes. And that is how transactions are processed. Now, nodes are different. Nodes don't get any rewards. They don't do any mining. All they do is just secure the network. And essentially by securing the network, what that means is it means they are running the Bitcoin source code with the current rules that run Bitcoin. And that means there's only 21 million. We have a block every 10 minutes. The difficulty adjustment is how it says it. There's all these things, like the size of the blocks, what the block reward is, when the halving is, all these things are all baked in to the source code. And by running a node, you are basically voting as an individual that, yes, I am one vote agreeing that this source code is the code we should run Bitcoin with. And why it's really important to do this is if we don't, and there are already tens of thousands that do it, I have a couple that I run, what people can do is change this code. So if you change the code, and because all open source, you can go into the total amount of Bitcoin and double it. And you could go, oh, and I'm going to create a couple of more addresses that don't exist at the moment. And the extra 10 million Bitcoin that I'm going to create is going to sit in these addresses. And then they can plug their node into the Bitcoin network and try and go, this is the real code. And try and bluff everyone to go, oh, this is the new code. And without us realizing it, we get hyperinflation in Bitcoin. And an additional 10 million Bitcoin just comes out of thin air. One guy gets it all. And this is now, Bitcoin is now broken because everyone else was working hard. The entire infrastructure and the whole ecosystem around Bitcoin was all centered around 21 million. And this guy went and got an extra 10 million for free. It's broken. It's done. And if that guy managed to get thousands of nodes all going and basically just voted in that this is the version of the software that needs to be run, then he could trick the network and break Bitcoin. So the more people that we have just running nodes and running their version of the software in, the more secure it is and the harder it is to take over a Bitcoin. What you can also do is, instead of relying on third-party services to send your Bitcoin, if you send the Bitcoin using your node, then that transaction is sent into the Bitcoin network from you, from your node. So you know no one messed with it. There's always that slight risk that when you do use a wallet, or say use Coinbase, whatever you might use, they might mess with it. They might say they sent it and they didn't. You know, they could. It's so if you use it your own node, you know you can't get scammed in that case because it's you're running the code. You ran the transaction literally. You're running the code as just as Satoshi did. When you're running it from a wallet or from an exchange, you're just one layer away, which just adds that little bit of custodial risk, which largely is acceptable. And I don't think people should be too worried about that. But really what you're doing is just you're another person on the network that can run the software. And so if anyone tries to attack it, change the rules, increase the block size, increase the amount of Bitcoin that exists, just potentially even just break Bitcoin, just say,
yeah,
they could just go, there's 0 Bitcoin now. You know, who knows what they wanted to do, just be like, as opposed to scamming, just be destructive. You're helping just be another person, another node. It also makes it harder to attack Bitcoin from a shutting it down point of view. So if a government agency did try and take the network offline, the nodes are what run and have all the copies of the blockchain with all the transactions in. So if they did attack a load of, say, high profile Bitcoiners and they got all their nodes switched off, we need to be running our own versions. This is the whole point of Bitcoin being decentralized. So the more people that run Bitcoin, the more decentralized it is, the more nodes that exist, the harder it is for a government attack to just switch it all off because they won't get all the nodes.
And in your experience, has this become easier these days since obviously inception?
Yeah, it's hugely easier now. So there's great guides. So we're going to link to Lop's website on
Fantastic website.
It's
like the Bible for everything.
Yeah, it's one of those websites which I've sent you a couple of times, and I think you've clicked on it and gone, whoa.
He's made it more user friendly, because before it was like, it just was like super intimidating. It's a lot more intuitive. Things are categorized a lot easier, and it's good with regards to it. But the amount of content in there, if I had, I don't even think, even if I had nothing to do and I set my day up to be 8 till 6, I still wouldn't be able to get through everything.
Yeah, there's a huge amount there. He's great at documenting it, and he's been documenting it pretty much for the last 10 years. So there's a huge amount there. And undoubtedly running a node now is pretty easy. If you want to spend say £300 to £400, then you just get a plug and play one. And there's a number of them. You just get them, you plug them in. They got great UIs. And that's what I did. I went the easy route probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I bought a couple of those nodes, plugged them in, ran them. So I ran my first one just because it was a normal node. And then Casa came along and they had the Lightning version as well baked in because I wanted to test Lightning. It was the only way to test it when it first came out. So I got a Lightning node bolted in. So it's another way of, you help the Lightning network as well there. You open some channels, you essentially, Lightning requires a load of channels. You need liquidity. So you need to basically put some of your Bitcoin to fund the channels. And so it's another layer into nodes there, actually, with Lightning nodes as well as the core nodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're the ones that's plug and play. Literally, I'm not particularly technical, really. I can't code. So you just plug stuff in, you set it all up. It takes a couple of days to download the blockchain, and you're done. And I was sending Lightning transactions on it. I've sent full node transactions on it as well. And yeah, it works super easy. But yeah, there's a load of like user guides on there where you can build your own. Because essentially for the 300 to 400, what you're really doing, you're buying about 100 to 150 pounds worth of gear. Like if you buy the components yourself, you can probably get them for about 100 pounds, and you can plug it all together yourself. It's going to look a little bit rough and ready. It's going to look like a little bit of a bag of bits, but kind of who cares? And you plug it in. You can download the Bitcoin source code from Satoshi's GitHub, which is kind of crazy. You can download it, upload it, and get your own node running. If you want to
going to get to a world where the average person then starts to do this, or is this like super tech, super geek world?
This will be the last hurdle that gets pushed down.
Okay.
It'll be the last one, yeah, definitely. I think ultimately it will end up getting baked into something else. I did see in Puerto Rico where people were baking in the full node into just like a day-to-day product. So they were baking it into like your Wi-Fi router, and it was also
there you go. Yeah,
yeah. It was a router, a miner, and it also had a load of storage on it. So it was like your Dropbox for your family. Okay. So I don't think it took off, but that's why I see it going. Again, it'll be one of those things that, in the moment, definitely nodes, because you have to be a hardcore Bitcoiner to even give a shit about running this, right? So I did it as like a gift to the network. Right? Number one, I had to learn. Number two, it was just a gift. Right? I wanted to, number one, support some Bitcoin companies. Number two, I wanted to help secure the network. I knew how important it was, and I wanted to help. Most people that get into Bitcoin, at least in their first couple of years, they don't get past gains mode yet. So why are they going to spend 400 quid on helping Bitcoin? Like with no direct financial return. Like you do get a financial return because the price of Bitcoin goes up, but the price of Bitcoin has gone up, whether you bought a node or not. But it's one of them, isn't it? Where if everyone thinks like that, there's no nodes and Bitcoin's not secure. So you have to have a certain amount of people that do just take that punt and want to help the network. So I'd encourage everyone to do it. But when you're ready, if you've got £300 spare, I would just say, go and click this link, go and choose a node, buy one. It's a great exercise to go through. You will actually understand Bitcoin a lot better when you actually go through this, send some transactions on the Bitcoin network for your own node. It's kind of crazy. And then just leave it running. And you know that you are now one vote helping the Bitcoin network stay secure. And that's kind of cool to be able to say that you're doing that.
Well, I guess as everybody's stack increases, naturally you think, you get a bit more and more protective about it, don't you? You update your ledger a little bit more frequently, and you dust it off, and you think, "Oh, hold on, do I remember those 24 words?" and so on, and you get a bit more and more protective. So then, I do think people will start to run their own nodes.
Yeah, I think ultimately it'll be actually weirdly. I went to a Lightning event actually, and they were running a Lightning node on your phone.
Okay.
It was a phone specifically designed to do it. So
yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things. Yeah, I think you're right. Like the price, and then also just technology. Because at the moment you need a certain amount of processing power, and I've forgotten how big the network is now, or how big the blockchain is. I think it's a couple of gig memory. So at the moment, that's still quite a lot to download. But over time, it becomes nothing, right? So as Moore's law keeps going up.
Yeah.
What a phone today used to be a mainframe that was like the size of a house 20 years ago, right? Yeah. So if we progress another 5 years, the Bitcoin blockchain is increasing, but not by a huge amount. So our phones will be able to keep up with that. And who knows, you can just download probably a Bitcoin node app, press play, and you'll be running a node, you know.
I think that's probably one for Apple, perhaps. You know, Lightning Network already baked in. It's entry into crypto, and then again, it keeps people in that ecosystem because you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting your Apple product and Lightning or stroke crypto, i.e. Bitcoin. Winner.
Yeah. So what do you think about nodes? So I reckon that's a good little overview on nodes.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get myself there. As I said, I think when we were talking about the whole, laptop thing, it's one of those where I think certainly one, sit down, go through it. The step-by-step guides are not super easy, super intuitive, and I do think they will be easy enough.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Do you want a bit of change direction? Go straight from that to something really random, which is the Chappelle one.
I was going to say, let's go about the Chappelle one. Have you seen it, by the way?
Yeah, I have. Have you seen it?
He's such a great comedian in terms of, I don't know how he's just so relaxed. It's like he's talking, and like you've seen, I think this about all comedians, they do hundreds of dates, and word for word, they are saying exactly the same in each one of those various different venues. But it's just like he's talking.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
Yeah. Do you think it was funny?
Parts of it made me really laugh, and what was also funny is that there was two women. I don't know if you spotted them.
Everyone spotted them.
Yeah,
they stood out a mile away, didn't they? Because obviously they were pretty overweight.
Yes.
Crazy looking hair.
Yes.
Right in the middle. And obviously like 90% of the audience is black, right? So just by being just white, you would have stood out. But they weren't just white. They were the classic woke, kind of like the RIA guys. Like they were waiting to get triggered, weren't they? You could just, and so often when the camera kind of like panned to that section of the audience, they were just sat there stone faced. Everyone else around them laughing. They were just like,
yeah, I didn't get what were they expecting?
They went there to get triggered, didn't they?
Yeah,
and I'd imagine they got very triggered.
And the fact that then the internet has triggered them as well by pointing them out because they kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
They were just right there, weren't they? Like like the worst place. They're like row 6 or something, right in his eye line.
Yeah.
And and obviously he went for the trans community, didn't he? There's a whole probably was an hour long, I think.
Yeah.
And he probably stayed on trans for about 20 minutes towards the end.
Yeah.
It was the
fact that it was a true story as well.
Yeah.
Daphne, wasn't it? I think. Yeah.
And I thought like, look, it was a very cleverly done thing, wasn't it? Because like you said, it appeared to be true anyway. I'm never sure comedians, I
looked it up. I don't trust. I verified, and Daphne unfortunately did commit suicide. So it was a real person, and because straight away I'm like, no, but yeah. And what's interesting is as well is like Chappelle's done 6 of these now over the course of the pandemic. Comedians typically take about a year or so, if not more, 2 years, 3 years in order to pull out a special, and that's why people are, before he was being rated. Let's not get this twisted, but at the rate he's turning these out, because people typically have to practice these and go to clubs and do all of that. Nah, just there you go. There's your special, Netflix.
Yeah.
Where's my check?
Yeah. And I think now he just doesn't give a shit now, does he? He's in this like the rarefied atmosphere where he's pretty much largely known as the number one comedian in the world. It's pretty much like it just is, right? It's just Chappelle is number one. He just is. And he kind of knows it. And I think he just goes out with a swagger. He's like Mo Salah on a Saturday against Man United away, rolls out on Old Trafford, I want to own you bitches. And then does so, bangs in a cheeky hat trick. And I mean, that's Chappelle now when it walking out on stage.
Did you say I'm going to own these bitches or I'm going to own these pitches?
Both.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't care. And I think he knows how triggering the world is and how cancel culture exists. And I think he just goes, I'm going to dare them. I'm going to go walk right into their territory, but with some very clever jokes and very intelligent like build up. It's a true story. It has a lot of very serious points in. But if you take some of these jokes out of context, you could absolutely call me transphobic. But you're going to look an idiot for doing so, because in the context of the 20-minute piece, it is not. And it's all very explainable. He backs it up with intelligence. And he's like, come for me.
In fact,
come for me. I am putting the bait out there. It's bait. And the jokes are obviously like in isolation, hugely transphobic. Of course they are. He's taking the piss out of trans people. But like all jokes take the piss out of people in some certain degree, don't they? And the protest outside.
Yes, I am transphobic. You know, the way he's saying, yes, I am transphobic. But don't forget, I put Daphne on first, and you know, she was the person I hit up when I went to LA, and oh gosh,
comedians bust each other's balls, don't they? Like constantly.
Yeah.
Whatever like your standout characteristics are in that comedian world, you'll get ripped to shreds about it constantly, and it doesn't mean, or if anything, it means they like you because they're doing it.
It's a good thing,
And it's just funny. It doesn't need to be taken seriously all the time. And obviously there's a load of people here that are taking it seriously, protested, saying they want to get it taken off Netflix.
Fun isn't allowed.
It didn't work, and apparently the person that organized this protest has been fired from Netflix.
Oh,
and also someone else got fired because there was some kind of memo or something that was going around, or some internal information that was in the Chappelle special, and they released it, like some quotes from Chappelle's special before the special was even released, and so they got fired too for breaking the rules. And so this actually looks quite refreshing, and it almost gives me a little bit of faith back into the world, because people got triggered. They've gone, oh, it's Chappelle's transphobic, They've protested. Usually what would happen here is Chappelle's special would get taken down. He would have to issue an apology, and we never could do it again. What seems to have happened, he's gone, fuck off. The employees that have got triggered, the most high-profile ones, have got fired. Everyone else has got told to grow up, and we seem to be moving on. So I quite like it as an overall, because the net outcome is Chappelle's special is still there, and he's encouraged to do another one.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got to remember as well, comedy is always that thing that pushes the boundaries. It's never going to be PC. So expecting it to be dumbed down and woke, nah, you're not going to get that, I'm afraid. The rawer, the better, the funnier. So probably going to put that back on the watch list. I'm actually rewatching Narcos, however, as season 3 comes out for Narcos Mexico next week, November 5th.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Next one that I think we should tackle. The 1 million users on waitlist to withdraw their Bitcoin from Robinhood. Now, you wouldn't think that that's an issue, but you want to explain why it's an issue?
Oh, yeah. Well, Robinhood might not have the Bitcoin, might they?
Exactly.
This is the whole don't trust, verify, and not your keys, not your cheese.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great that they've finally rolled out they haven't rolled it out yet. They've just said you'll be able to withdraw your Bitcoin to your own wallet, but you've got to join a waitlist. And it's really encouraging actually that 1 million people jumped straight on it, because that means there's at least 1 million real Bitcoiners in Robinhood. That's fantastic. Because sometimes you do think Robinhood people are just yellowing in crowd, they're buying Doge, they're trading it for come rocket, then you just like, oh, these guys are just waiting to get wrecked. But at least 1 million of them here are real Bitcoiners, because to even know what to do with it, right? Like most people won't even know. Why do I want to withdraw it from Robinhood? Like, I'll leave it here and I'll be able to sell it for pounds or dollars, and then I can buy some things. Like, no, that isn't what Bitcoin's for. You need to take custody of it, and then when everything collapses, you'll come from the ashes and you'll have your Bitcoin, and everyone else will get wrecked.
And that's a really good point, actually, because I'm sure people are, well, I say I'm sure. I used to believe that people were just keeping their Bitcoin on the exchange and they didn't ever think about cold storage and, being that cold storage ninja, taking it off into a wallet or doing something else with it. So the masses are learning.
But it's going to be interesting, because obviously Revolut did this, and the withdrawal limit is so low. So at the moment, like it's £1,000 a month basically, and at the moment, because it's denominated in pounds, because the pound is hyperinflating, and Bitcoin, therefore, the amount of sats you can withdraw each month goes down and down and down. So at the moment, the amount of Bitcoin I have in pounds in Revolut, even though I'm maxing out the withdrawal limit, the value's going up. Sats is going down, but pound value is going up. So I'm not ever going to get it. At the moment, it's going to take me infinity years to get all my Bitcoin out unless they up the limits. So it's I'd imagine Robinhood are going to do the same thing, where it's going to be
keeps on giving.
It's kind of quite great. Yeah, it's almost like I treat it like a salary. Oh, okay, here's my it's like almost like the golden goose. I look at my balance and it's a number, right? And then I take my £1,000 a month out and it goes down £1,000, and I come next month and it's up. You're like, what? Like normally when I have a balance and I take £1,000 out each time, it ends up getting closer to zero, but not in Bitcoin land, because the pound is cut bucks and crash cash. So it just keeps inflating away from Bitcoin. You're like, all right, the sats keeps going down, but how much those sats are worth keeps going up. So, hey, happy days.
Do you think there'll ever be a world where you can continue to use the money, but just not take the sats out? So the money that you've got in the account you can spend, but you just have a limit of the actual sats that you can retrieve back.
And so, like, loan against it, have an overdraft and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. Just imagine it's pounds. Yeah, you can take loans, you can loan against it, you could have an overdraft. All those financial products that exist in the existing world today, they're all just converted into Bitcoin ones, all with the same risks, right? So
correct.
Once you start loaning it,
because what I'm thinking is, of course, they want to retain the sats themselves. So therefore, to offset that, there's a risk reward, isn't there? And the risk is, okay, well, you loan against it, your default, we get to keep it, because otherwise they could essentially just give you the sats that are yours anyway back to you immediately. But they don't want to do that. They want to keep you in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So once Bitcoin hits like infinity and there's no kind of price gains to be had, then the people starting out, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to have loans. You'll take a loan of Bitcoin out and you have to pay it back over time. And and potentially if you don't want to sell your sats, say they talk to us about this a lot. You take a loan out on the existing value of the Bitcoin instead of spending it all today. Put a certain amount kind of at risk to a certain extent and go put that as collateral for a loan, and then pay that loan off over time. And you only have to spend, I don't know, say 50K of your Bitcoin to receive £1 million worth of loan. And then the price appreciation over the time kind of covers the difference.
This is the model that I'm absolutely waiting for, and I love. As soon as I heard it, I was just like, yes, that is it.
Yeah, it is very clever because obviously at the moment we're still in that early price kind of discovery of a new global money. So you don't want to be spending large quantities of that whilst we're in price discovery. You want to wait for the infinity price to come, and then it's just normal. But right now you want as many sats as you can get, and you don't want to spend a single one.
Yeah.
But there is risk with that. If we go and hit a 4-year bear market again, you've got to make sure your loan wasn't for 2 years, because now suddenly it went the other way.
Correct.
So you've now kind of given out a loan for say 50k, and then the 50k kind of collateral you gave is only worth 20 now. So you're going to have to make the up the other 30 yourself.
Yeah.
These are all the things you have to factor in. And I always think like Saylor, he's one of these big freaking giga chads. He can go and do this stuff. He can do our $4 billion loan here. And it doesn't matter if when it matures, it's only worth 2 billion, because he'll just go into his other pocket and throw a 2 billion from somewhere else in. So for the average pleb,
don't get wrecked.
Be sensible.
Yeah. Be sensible, be safe.
Just try and keep a low time preference and just be a little bit sensible. But obviously we need to spend some Bitcoin at some point. It's fine. You have day-to-day needs, but it may ease off on the Lambos for now. Ease off. And when the time comes, we can all have our Lambos. But not right now.
It'd be interesting if Lamborghini actually started accepting Bitcoin as well.
Yeah.
It's so associated with it, isn't it? It's the thought of, okay, Bitcoin's rocketed, fantastic, I'm buying a Lambo. I'm personally going for the McLaren, but I'm getting the Lambo.
Yeah, I think if someone was tracking the price of a Lambo in Bitcoin terms, and it started off at like 1,000 Bitcoin or something like 7 years ago, and now it's like 4 Bitcoin, I think they said, and it's just such a tiny little number. You're like, wow, like 4 Bitcoin, and obviously a lot of the people that have been around for so long, they're like 4 Bitcoin gets you a Lambo. That was the moon. That was the achievable, unachievable kind of ultimate riches. And these guys that obviously have shit tons of these Bitcoins, they're like, a Lambo's 4 Bitcoin. Like, Jesus, I was going to a Bitcoin event paying 4 Bitcoin for a sandwich, and now it gets me a Lambo. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Unbelievable times. I hate to think about it, but it does cross my mind all the time, thinking, I should have bought some more. I should have got in. Why didn't you get in? And I mean, we were having the conversation the other day, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now about, stopping contributing to my pension and then just holding that money and then using that money to then put more into Bitcoin. And I know you're right. Of course you're right. I should just do it and should stop doing it, because eventually it's going to go higher and higher. But I'm just going to have my couple of days of getting over the hump, and then I'm going to do it. And as always, I'll be the first out of the group of us, of the 4Bs. And then eventually Dr. Evil 10% will follow, because we'll bully him into it.
I don't want to see you in 4 years. Just don't make me do those screenshots. Don't make me do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what actually worries me, because I'm doing that to my friends all the time. As somebody was talking to me about Tesla and said, I didn't end up doing it. And, there was a cheeky 5X. And that's how I knew straight away, oh, yeah, but did you know you could have got 10 on Bitcoin? Just saying.
Yeah. Because in 4 years, I'll be doing the screenshots just based on gains. But the real problem, the real thing you don't want me to be doing is in 30 years, I'll be doing the I told you so when your entire pension is stolen from you. And you'll be like, what's happened? Like, oh, what the hell? They can't do this. I'm like, I told you.
Well, essentially, they are stealing from you anyway, because of the price that you think or you would be getting won't actually be able to keep up as well. So
yeah,
there's a problem there, right?
Yeah, we'll wait for like Dr. Evil to come on, because I want to destroy him on the pension debate.
Yeah,
because I know it's like, I know his entire argument is based on emotion around the word pension. It just
Yeah.
feels soft and fuzzy and cozy, and I need it.
Diversification as well, isn't it? Of,
It's my
well, I don't
safety
want to
pills,
get,
on your little
yeah,
trike, and
yeah, safety.
you don't want to take them off. You're like, just do it. Like you can ride a bike. You don't need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we go to shitcoin corner?
Let's do it.
Because this is actually a semi like legit one. But
yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I was listening to this and saw it and thought about it, and I see a world where people do it. You know, they give up a little bit of their self sovereignty of, yeah, scan my iris, and I can use this world coin to be able to, well, spend essentially wherever I like.
yeah, so it's called Wallcoin, yeah, and it's their number one value proposition is going to be distributed fairly to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So to get your allocation of it, you have to sign up, and part of that sign up, you have to scan your fucking eye, and that will be like your unique login. Supposedly it's super private, which I don't know how that could be super private. Putting your fucking eye in there, and then you get your allocation of WorldCoin for free, apparently. And if everyone does it in their little mind, everyone gets the same amount, and somehow the world's a better place now.
Sounded like a film as well, because they called this database or the orb or something like that, didn't they? Like the orb, you sign up and then it's all retained in the orb.
Yeah, it does feel very like dystopian.
Yeah.
The thing they don't disclose in here very obviously is that, oh, they own 20% of the supply.
Yes, that's correct. Forgot
So
about that part, didn't they?
everyone else would have their like 7.7 billionth of it, but they will have 20%, which obviously is a huge amount compared to everyone else. I don't think you can buy this. It's the one thing that doesn't look to be too scammy, where
correct.
They don't let you buy it. I don't think. It's almost like you sign up, you scan your iris, you get your allocation, and I think that's it. It's like, there you go, you're done. And provided the price goes up loads, if you assume everyone in the globe does this, that small amount of money now, which I think it's about $20 or something worth of WorldCoin, but they're assuming that, oh, that's it, today's current supply and demand. But if 7.7 billion people do it, then that $20 will ultimately be worth, I don't know, say 300,000, and now you can spend your WorldCoin, and it just becomes a currency that you.
Yeah.
But they end up being the world power with 20% of the world's money for creating it, which obviously doesn't work and no one wants to do. And it's centralized, right? So as with all these shit coins, like, not only is this totally dystopian and crazy, by funding this, how is this any different to fiat? Even if you assume it's going to work, all you've done here is moved into a fiat system called WorldCoin, and now the VCs and the CEO, instead of the Fed and the Bank of England and all our politicians and George Soros and Rothbard of part of Vanguard and BlackRock, instead of those guys controlling the money printer, these guys control the money printer instead. Right. And I bet if I look into the background of these guys, BlackRock and Vanguard are there anyway.
They will be, you know it. There's some big names in there apparently. So yeah,
it's all the biggies. Yeah, it's literally, it's Silicon Valley, like the A-list of investors have backed these guys. But yeah, what the fuck? It's just so dumb.
I definitely think. Do you know what I thought about it in a view of a threat from the business, obviously we came from and working, and I thought, that's interesting, because it takes out everything right now that we're doing. By if they've got it up and running and it works, why couldn't they?
Yeah, don't worry, no one's using this shit.
Yeah,
they will get a couple of million people just because these things always do, because they'll spend shit tons of marketing. So people will sign up to get their free $20 because people are stupid and will sell their privacy for nothing.
Yeah.
But then once they get their $20, all they want to do is take it out and try and sell it somehow, and then they never use it again.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be the new digital identity or anything like that. It's just going to be a little bit of a get rich quick scheme for a couple of people that want to do it and get their free $20.
Yeah.
But this isn't, no one's going to use it. No one's this dumb. It's
famous last words, hopefully not.
It's just silly. Like, because the thing is, like, people that YOLO into this kind of shit want gains, and there's no gains here. So
and I definitely think, again, similar to as we were saying earlier on, people are looking at these things because they feel like they've missed the boat on Bitcoin. So it's like, oh, great, this is the next big thing. Let me get in it.
Yeah, this is what this looks like to me is the classic Silicon Valley. They've sat down and gone, we need to invent the better Bitcoin. And this is it. We've re-engineered Bitcoin. This is a better version. And we are the guys that are the right people to be looking after it. Yeah. And you just go, you arrogant fucks. How dare you? How dare you question Satoshi? Go sit down, shut up, and go and have a think about what you just done. Because you're wasting everyone's time with this. And piss off. You've been here for 5 minutes. You think you've invented a better Bitcoin. No, you ain't. This is worse in every way. Satoshi would laugh in your face with your stupid eyeball orbs.
He probably is.
So, follow the bollocks. So, at least it's like a proper attempt. At least it's not like a complete joke attempt. But it all comes back to the same thing. It's not decentralized. It's completely centralized. Has a load of investors, as a CEO, and they want to be the world power of money. Like, no, if anything, you've centralized money even more. At least there's multiple currencies at the moment. You want to have one world currency called WorldCoin with one CEO at the top of it. What is stopping him from going, oh, I've got 20% of the allocation now, but I spent it all. I want another 10%. He'll just go into the source code, put another 10% of WorldCoin in there and give it to himself. That's the money printer back.
Yeah. These guys, these guys, I think, obviously know all of this as well, and so it's a classic, probably pump and dump as well. And it reminds me of the I forgot. We did the review on her, that lady that went missing.
Oh, the OneCoin.
Yeah, the OneCoin. As soon as I heard it, I was just like, "This is the same playbook over and over again."
Kind of, but I think this one, at least, this is a legit project, right? I think hers was an out-and-out scam. This feels a bit more of a Trojan horse. Well, I think they're trying to trick us into going, this is a better Bitcoin, knowing full well that if we did adopt it, they're like, haha, it's fiat, but with it on the blockchain.
Yeah.
With your eyeballs. Like, we proper got you this time. It's like, hey, no. No, George Soros, we ain't fucking stupid. We know what you're trying to do. It's bollocks. Try again.
Wonder where people go after this though as well. Like, let's say they give their details. What's the next thing that's going to happen? There's always going to be that next scam, isn't there?
Well, they'll be like jerking off onto their phone and giving semen its samples and all sorts.
Yeah.
Give an app with $23 and people do some stupid shit for $20.
Yeah. And add the word crypto. We're giving away free crypto. And all of a sudden people are like, yeah, oh my God, I need this.
Yeah. And that probably leads us on to say, like, wrecked of the week.
Yep.
And it's a shame Dr. Evil's not here, because this is his favorite shitcoin that you keep fucking mentioning. He shielded this so many times in his fucking podcast. I don't even know why.
I don't know why. It's his favorite, along with Pakistan. And live by the meme, die by the meme is a great one there, because someone's only gonna got wrecked, haven't they? Shiba.
Yeah. So because weirdly, like, Shiba was doing really well this week, and I think it went up quite a bit. And right towards the top, I think they got a bit confident, and they tweeted Elon Musk and asked him, how much SHIB are you holding? Diamond hands. And Elon Musk just
Yeah.
replies, none.
No.
The price very quickly dumps 40% in the next 5 minutes. It's like, oh man, you were pumping that nicely, and then you went and asked someone, and Elon actually replied. And I think at the time, because Shiba is like the sister coin to Doge.
Yes, that's
So
right. Yeah.
so I think a lot of people were expecting, and I think in the rumors it was, oh, the reason why Shiba's going up by so much is Elon's getting it. Elon likes it. And so someone just went, look, you need to ask him, like, is this Elon? And they made the mistake of actually asking him. And then he actually replied and went, nah, I'm not buying that shit.
Of course he
The
does.
price just dumps. And it's like,
The fact that he replies and he's on it, and it just makes me think, oh my God, how does this guy do it?
oh man, he was on one this week. I don't know if you saw like some of the tweets. He was when Bitcoin hit its all-time high. His profile picture at the moment, by the way, is a picture of one of his rockets, but it's in the shadow, so it looks like a dick.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now and thinking, yeah, it's like, hold on.
Is that a penis? That's a
Yeah,
penis.
yeah, that's
And he
not a
knows
rock.
what he's doing, obviously.
That's not a rock.
And
Yeah.
Bitcoin was at all-time high, and he was like, let's posted a meme of a lad sitting on a bed, like looking like favorably at this like frame, and then it zooms in on the frame, and Bitcoin is 69,000 and Ethereum is 4,200. So the classic
Yeah.
69 420 jokes. And you just go, Elon, how do you have so much time just to be memeing?
Yeah.
You're the busiest guy on the planet. He's got 5 kids, CEO of the 2 biggest companies in the world, and he's just memeing on crypto Twitter. You gotta respect it, man.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think he's going through a breakup at the moment as well with his latest
Oh
missus,
gosh.
with Grimes.
Hey, it just goes to show, doesn't it? If we've seen Bezos, who else as well? Oh, Bill Gates, and now Elon Musk. Money can't buy them. Money can't buy women.
Well, depends what kind of women you want to
Well,
buy.
you can, and yeah.
But yeah, but it's been a bit of an Elon episode, weirdly, because he's back again in the and finally, like the last story of the week.
Well, you're back, so Elon's back.
Yeah, and who knows, because he's obviously celebrating his $1 trillion company in Tesla now, but in his filing that got filed, which is where that Hertz order got found and all these types of all this news, it also says in there, we may restart the practice of transacting in digital assets for our products and services.
Yes.
We believe in long-term potential. And then it says, where is it further down here? Here it is. It says, we will once again accept Bitcoin should the percentage of Bitcoin mined with renewable energy be at least 50% or more, which we're already at.
Play. Yeah.
So what's great about this is he's finally put his number on it. So now this is right, it's just cut and dry, it's black and white. Before he just went, Bitcoin isn't and is bad for the environment. And that's why they took it down.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin lost 50% of value over the next month after that. Scared a lot of people away. Now he's going, 50% of the energy needs to be renewable. All right, fine. It's arbitrary. Like, who gives a shit how much is renewable or not? I don't care. But at least Tesla's put it out there. I'm pretty sure we're at 50% already. So maybe they'll start accepting Bitcoin soon. And yeah, and last time that happened, the price of Bitcoin doubled. So
yeah, who's going to be that person that gives up their Bitcoin for a car?
Oh, I know.
It's going to depreciate in value. It just doesn't, unless you've got loads and loads and loads. But then surely you know that this isn't good. It's not wise.
Yeah. I think if you really do have that many, it's like a Tesla's 1 Bitcoin now. So it would be quite tempting, I think, if you're literally sat on one hell of a stack, like just a bit of fun in it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? A friend of mine just messaged me before the show, and he had a friend who has sold part of his Bitcoin for a Porsche, and it's straight away I was just like, oh gosh. But it's a Porsche Cayman are, which there are only 200 in the UK and 1,400 in total. So he's sold for a scarce asset in reality, and it's got utility in the fact that he can use it right now. So I was just like, oh, and it looks really nice. I thought, okay, then on this occasion, I'm going to give it to you. So yeah, fair play.
Yeah, it's one of them, in it, where it's obviously not going to appreciate as much as Bitcoin, but
No,
it probably won't even keep up with inflation. But maybe if it just won't go down as much as a normal Porsche, will it? Yeah.
correct. It's going to become I'm sure, a collector's item eventually, because as we move to electric, and it's still a petrol car as well, only 1,400 in the world. It's a decent trade.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to get it serviced, but
No.
One of them things that are really rare cars. Like, really, it's only like 200 made. All right, you do loads of unique bits on it. Oh, this makes it a collector's item, but what if one of them breaks and you're the one that has to fix it? Like, oh shit! Like, yeah, the Porsche garage is going to charge you 10 grand every time you take it anywhere near the shop. So
yeah,
on the investment side, I ain't sure it's really an investment, but it's.
I know that the all of these car garages, they're making a lot of money on the bits and pieces, the extras, the repairs. That's where a lot of money comes from as well. So yeah, as and when it needs it, we're going to cash it in.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think it's purely like Tesla accepting Bitcoin. I don't think it's not going to do anything for the price, like directly in the actual action of people buying Teslas with Bitcoin. I don't think Tesla's going to make a lot of money by accepting Bitcoin. It's just yet another like indication. It's a further acceptance of Bitcoin, and what it would also do is all the energy FUD that's been levered against it. Obviously, a lot of it started with Tesla taking Bitcoin off. So by accepting it and saying this is now good for the climate or just acceptable, it does remove yet another thing. And that could then, a lot of people might be sat on the sidelines going, oh, I'm very conscious of the climate and I'm a Tesla shareholder and all these types of things. And when Bitcoin gets added, they're not going to buy a car with Bitcoin, but they might just buy Bitcoin to hodl. And so we could see a load of price action go crazy. It could be one of the things that gets us to 100K if between now and in a couple of weeks, Tesla announce our Bitcoin's back. That could send us over from 60K to 100.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it was the first time that we were both together on the podcast that we gave our predictions for the end of the year as well. And, you know, I'm still sticking to my, I think it was 250 end of year coin prediction. We went super bullish with the 750 out there. That would be amazing.
So yeah, 10x from here. Cheeky 10, man. But Bitcoin loves the winter. From October to December, we've 10x before. We can do it again. We can do it again. I'm still sticking. I'm sticking.
I think it's a very, very bullish stick, but hey, it only needs to wick up there and back. It's all good.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a trader. In reality, I know Bitcoin's going to infinity. I don't know when, but it's going there.
Yeah.
I don't trade. I hodl. I'm here for the long term. I'm here for generational wealth.
Yeah, it's easier. Never trade, just hodl, and in my case, don't look.
Indeed. So
I think that takes us to everything, right?
Yeah, we're done, man.
Cool. Well,
good to be back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back as always, and great to have you in. We look forward to all of the comments. Thanks very much, everyone that's got this far to listening to us rant and rave. This has been pod number 28. I'm Sir Never Look. He's Mr. All In. She's not here, Mrs. No Show, and Dr. Evil 10%. Been jacking off to stroking his pussy. There you have it. Yeah, fellow plebs, if you want to hear us, then yeah, tune in.